All right. Well, I'm just getting set up, okay? So I'll get you the astrodoodle. Hello, Ivona. So, yeah, well, sometimes I don't make it. I don't make it either, you know? And I'm just glad we're here at all, you know? Alright, so I'll be working on this for a few minutes and we can all hang out in a moment. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry. Damn. God. Alright, so, let's see, give me a second here, I'm just going to tune in. Okay. Alright, let's see. Thank you, folks, for showing up. I know I've been very, let's see, what's it, behind the curve with my channel, you know, trying to keep things going and all of that stuff. It's been tricky. Anyway, we're here. A few of us here anyway. Okay. So Maria, right now I've got your donation. I'll do your magic posted code right now. Yeah, Bubba's here. Karen from New Zealand. Oh my gosh, you are getting slammed by that storm, aren't you? I heard a lot about it. All right, Maria, I got you. Alright, Maria's over there in Arkansas, United States. Ivona is up there kind of around, I think, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. And Karen is over there in New Zealand. Welcome. And Bubba is here. Bubba the cat is here in Las Vegas. There you go. He's a casino cat. Yeah. So, greetings. I'm just letting my tea steep here. It is a kava relaxation tea. Oh, hello, Mrs. Clark. Well, it's probably not Mrs. Clark, but mother of Karen, greetings. Thanks for hanging out. I don't really need these. I think I'll just put these aside. I don't need them right now. I've put enough red and green on the charts. Here we are. Here's the ephemeris for today. Let me go over here. See if I can get tuned in a little better. As you can see, it's pretty much empty. Right? There's no retrogrades at all anywhere. I don't measure the lunar nodes as retrograde because the node moves like what appears to be in reverse compared to the movement of the planets. So there you go. The nodes move clockwise. Anyway, so Mercury, well, it went direct, you know, about 10 days ago. We're already over here on the 13th. So we're coming out of the shadow phase of Mercury. And, okay, I'm just going to kind of get on with my little rant here. A few days ago, I did a little video. I couldn't resist doing it because of what I saw in the astrology and then what I saw unfolding on the global stage. And it was absolutely gorgeous to see. You know, about 10 days ago, the sun was conjunct Saturn in Aquarius over here. And so that's the energy of revolution, the energy of, let's say, we the people, humanity wanting its natural God-given rights to sovereign self, the right to be your individual. You can still belong to a community, like the family of mankind, okay? Remember, the United States is born with Aquarius in the South Node, okay? So we, in America, we all come from that collective sense of family, group, togetherness. But inside that togetherness, it is composed of individuals. And the United States North Node is over here in Leo. And it's facing opposition right now. And so we feel it here in the United States. Now, where the things erupted on the global stage was actually Canada. But in some ways, Canada is, no insult, kind of an extension of the United States. We're connected by, we're very, very close neighbors, okay? And we all do a lot of business together, Americans with Canada. The thing is that the Canadian culture has some very fundamental differences. And like a lot of cultures on planet and countries and nations where they have a charter, a document, a declaration of how things are supposed to be in this country. We call that the Declaration of Independence, and we have something called the Constitution, which is basically like the Hierophant card. It's like a set of codes by which we all abide. And it started off, of course, with the very idealistic energy vibes of the Aquarian theme of we the people are no longer servants of King George over in England. Okay? A lot of people, back at 1776, the British Empire was extremely powerful, and they had a lot of influence across the whole world in terms of law, banking, finance, import, export, culture, war, everything you can imagine. War with other cultures. But anyway, there was a lot of friction between the British and the United States, because the United States, of course, decided we want to be our own people. We no longer are willing to put up with being slaves and servants and subjects and taxpayers to the King of England, King George. That's it. It's done. It's over. So they created the Declaration of Independence, and from there they wrote a clear-cut constitution where we declare our rights to protect and defend ourselves and our rights. The difference between the United States and every other country with their charters, like Australia, New Zealand, I believe Singapore, Japan, most of Western Europe, parts and bits and pieces of other countries have these kind of charter documents which declare the rights for human beings to be themselves. And we take it very seriously here. We actually have it enshrined in our Constitution that we have the right to bear arms and use those weapons, if necessary, in order to take down enemies, foreign and domestic. But right now, the biggest enemy to the United States, it's not really China, okay? It's not really the globalists. It's actually American corporatocracies in Washington, okay? In other words, we've gone full circle with the Pluto cycle. We've reached the absolute death of the death of the death. And the United States has descended into the dark Pluto shadows of depravity and a complete, utter decadence and corruption of power from the very, very top. It is inevitable with the birth dynamic. Look at it here today. Here we are, Pluto's around 26 degrees or whatever. The moon is opposite. The United States is born with the sun in Cancer. So this is a prominent aspect today right now. And it's kind of lit up. And so I see this as an important day, and I felt obliged to do my little show on Sunday night, make my comments, and then go from there. But it's interesting how, 12 days ago, roughly, just before the Aquarius new moon, when the moon was over here, everything flared up in Canada over here. Where's my pen? I lost my pen. Hold on, give me a second. Oh, Bubba, little Bubba ran away. I don't know where he went to. I think he realized that I'm doing a show and I can't give him cuddles right now. Sorry. So there's, you can't really see it, but there's Ottawa. That's the capital. So 12 days ago, roughly, almost 2 weeks ago, I'm following lunar cycles here and solar cycles and Saturn cycles, but the big flare-up, the big freedom rally flared up here in Canada. And within about 3 days, the news got out to the rest of the world. So guess what's happening across the rest of the world? There's a lot of other freedom rallies and protests and let's say, I don't know if I'm sure. Anyway, let's just call it freedom rallies, okay? And the freedom rally is spread to other parts of Canada and America, the different borders. And now there's a talk of a big freedom rally in the United States. They've already got very active freedom rallies over here in Western Europe and England and especially France. And I don't blame them. All these folks over here, they are being crushed, absolutely crushed by the elites and their injections and their mandates and their extreme, let's say, totalitarian agendas. Basically, they want to take over the world and turn it into a Klaus Schwab totalitarian communist regime for the whole planet. And it's not working very well. Their plan is really fumbling and scrumbling, okay? So the difference between what's happening in Canada and the rest of the world compared to America is that America is extremely heavily armed. I've mentioned this before. There's about 330 million people in the United States, and my guess is we're looking at about 30 million who are well armed or heavily armed, who would have no problems about taking down the government. But the thing is, it's a very ugly situation. It's one thing to have a charter and a constitution based on the United States Constitution, but they don't have the right to bear arms. So Canada did the next best thing. They did peaceful protests, civil expression, which they're allowed to do. But it's not violent. Now, if the same thing spreads to the United States, it's a different matter, because when you get, let's say, a bunch of truckers who march on Washington or something like that, the implications are far more serious, okay? Simply because of our Constitution and the fact that we do legally have the right. Now, in Washington, there's a few thousand people, but across America, there's like tens of millions of people. So there's a big disparity in numbers. And eventually things are going to come to a head. I think what we've just seen is like a spark that is now igniting and going across the whole world. But I actually feel that the storyline that I'm talking about here is going to drag on for years, okay? It's going to go up and down in waves. There's going to be a lot of civil unrest. The Aquarius theme is very active right now. Then it's going to move back to Pisces, and smoother and more deception, lies, betrayal will be exposed. Then we'll have another year and then another year. But when Pluto enters Aquarius, from here to here, I think that's when the real action is going to begin. And we're going to look at a 20-year cycle, roughly, of American Revolution. Basically, it's like the reformatting and reprogramming of the United States. And that is going to affect the rest of planet Earth, okay? Oh, and New Zealand. Yeah, they had a big one. New Zealand. I saw that, Karen. I saw that. Yeah, there was some really ugly stuff by your police officers in New Zealand. So, as beautiful and wonderful as New Zealand is, and all the wonderful Kiwis, there is a dark side to New Zealand, just like there is a dark side to the United States and a very dark side to the Europe and the cabal, and so on and so on. Yep. Hello, Necessary Truth. Good evening. on my PayPal. Ah, yes. Ah, okay. I'll take that as a sign. Thank you. Necessary truth. Thank you. Okie dokie. I'll put that here. Thanks, necessary. So, I mean, it sounds terrible because when this freedom rally started to emerge and it spread, I was so thrilled. I was so excited. And it sent sparks all over the world that there is hope for humanity. There is hope for we the people. But this is just a little spark, okay? To actually turn things around and disempower the elite, the cabal system, it's not something you can do with a couple of rallies and a few shotguns, okay? Australia, okay? Australia is getting very, very ugly over there too. Australia is an amazing country. I've had some good friends in Australia. I still do, I hope. But they are facing the same dark shadow that is modeled on the China model here, but the energy is actually coming from here, okay? The seat of the cabal is a collection of people who are associated mostly with Western Europe and Northeastern United States and the global corporatocracies, which are mostly based in the United States and Northern Europe. Because that's where all the power lies, that's where all the money lies. And that's how and where they exert their power. But they're very private, they're very secretive, and they're very much at the top of the pyramid. But anyway, it's very, very, very ugly. So there we go. On that cheerful note, I'm going to squeeze out my tea bag. Give me a second here. Oh gosh, I can't make a mess. This is a stage. Damn it. Be careful, T.O. Alright, I think I did it. Alright. Yep, I did it. Cheers, everyone. I'm going to show you something. Alright, so I just had my little ramble. Greetings, good evening. This is my Scorpio mug. Look at that. Love Triber got herself an Aquarius mug. So I found this one as a Scorpio mug. Did I just give away my sun sign? Oops. This doesn't matter. I have a whole bunch of other stuff going on that's nothing to do with Scorpio. But still, it was fun. There's so many different ways to interpret sun signs and all of that stuff. It is, of course, a major component of astrology, Western astrology, in the simplified way that I do things. But there's an awful lot of other stuff that goes on too, okay? Yes, things are getting very serious. And it's really, really awkward too, you know, with all these freedom rallies. Because the governors and the governments, they're trying to keep control of their countries and their people because they are under control of the... Okay? And they're reading from a script. Even the Speaker of the Opposition in Canadian Parliament, she buckled, she collapsed. Somebody in the background slapped her on the wrist and said, Candace, you can't say these things. You have to help Justin Trudeau to take down this rally. And so you start to realize that all these governments around the world they're being fed a script, okay? Even the President of the United States and the Vice President, they're all being presented with scripts. If any of you have ever watched the series called Fall of the Cabal by Janet Osabard, it gives you a fantastic overview of what I'm talking about here in a few sentences. I can't really describe it. I could try, but you'd be better off watching her series. It's a long series. But anyway, you start to realize that as you go further and further up the pyramid of power, it really is all about power and money. And their sole concern is consolidating more power, more money, more control. I've talked about this a million times. Their agenda is to turn the whole of planet Earth into one massive debt farm, occupied on a slave camp. Okay, it's like a combination of China and America. Call it Chinerica. That's what I call it. Path Traveler was here the other day. She showed me something that was called Chinafrica. Okay, it's a big, big thing. China is all over Africa. Guess why? Because China wants all the resources. Well, guess what? China wants everything. And so the way the corporations are working, they don't really have any loyalties to we the people or anything. They don't give a hoot about who you are, where you come from, what you do, or how you do it. The only thing they care about is, can we make money off of you? Can we do it directly, or are we going to have to use force and deception and lies and betrayal? Either way, we're going to get you. And that's what they do. And it's a very beautifully orchestrated and crafted machine based on deception, fraud, lies, betrayal, theft. But it's not in any kind of way that's obvious. It's theft through inflation. It's control through debt. It's control and power through the mass media. And so on and so on. And when you're born and raised in it, you don't know anything else. Imagine you're born and raised in America in the last 20 or 30 years or so, and all you know about is mainstream media, TV, and social justice, culture, and cell phones or whatever. You're not aware that you're being farmed. You're not aware that you are the progeny of the previous generation of debt cows on a slave camp. Because they didn't know any better either. Back in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s. The actual seed was planted in 1913. That's when the real corruption began. It was here in America, the founding of the U.S. Federal Reserve. We've moved on now. A big shift happened in 1971. And that is when everything became completely unhinged from reality. In the United States, the president said, enough with the gold standard. We're not going to bother even trying to have real money that is accountable. We're just going to make up money as we go along. Whatever we decide to call money, that's what it is. And it just unleashed a 50-year pathway of degradation. Okay? Through inflation. I could do a whole series of shows about that, but I just want to get my rant over, By the way, TL, no notifications on any platform that you are live. Yep. Welcome to my channel. Yeah. That's how it is on my channel. So, anyway, I want to go back to the charts for a second. So, as you know, I like to look at things from a global scale and then to kind of drill down to the personal level. But right now, across planet Earth, the whole freedom movement, the freedom rally is really starting to pick up momentum. And what the elites are discovering is that it's becoming very, very hard to shut down the voice of the people. And it's getting to the point where physical violence is being used, especially like what happened in New Zealand the other day, especially like what happened in Australia the other day, also what's happening in France. Over here in France and Western Europe, Australia and New Zealand, there's a lot of violence, okay, going on along with these protest rallies. And it's because the people here, we the people over here and here and here, are sick of the oppression from their governments and their banking systems. And they don't have any way to defend themselves like we do in America. And so when they get angry, they pull out their fists and they go fight, and then they run and they throw bricks and rocks and everything. And then the police are called in. But remember, the police are part of We the People. So a lot of these police officers who are working for the cities and states are very, very troubled people, because their real job is to protect and defend the people and under the charters and the constitutions of their country. And their job is not to work for the government to destroy the will of the people. Okay, so there's a lot of police officers in New Zealand, Australia, Western Europe, and Canada, and in America, who are deeply, deeply conflicted about their job. And a lot of them have quit and lost their jobs because they can't live with the moral squalor and filth of having to turn against their own people. Because if they were not police officers, they would be marching in the freedom rallies. And yet here they are at the freedom rallies pushing against We the People. Okay? So it's very, very troubling. And especially what happened Australia, New Zealand, and France. The police are very heavily armed in France right now, because they're not going to tolerate any sort of outbreaks. But when you show up with a bunch of heavily armed police officers, all that does is make an incendiary situation even worse. And so there's violence outbreaks. Now, of course, I mentioned that these folks cannot defend themselves with weapons, even though they are being faced with weapons, okay? It's very different in the United States. We have a very heavily armed police force. We also have a very powerful military. And the leader of this country, America, is peeing in his pants right now because he's realizing this is going to be very, very difficult for me to stay in office or get any control of We the People. Because if we, American government and police officers, and perhaps National Guard and military, use violence against the people, I guarantee that's going to spark civil war. And it's going to be very ugly. And then there's no going back. Okay? Now just remember, back in 1776, and around those times, or the Declaration of Independence, and the time of the Constitution, a lot of people died. A lot of people died over here to protect and defend their rights. They gave themselves permission and rights to defend themselves against the heavily armed oppressors. Over here, I think it was Plymouth Rock, the battle was fought to the death, okay? The British Navy against a handful of soldiers on land. And in the end, guess what happened? The British Navy and the British Army and all the soldiers realized, you know what? We're never going to win this war. We cannot win a war against people who are willing to die for their beliefs when they have nothing. Okay? So they gave up and they went back to England with their tail between their legs, and nothing more was said, and then America carried on and became the United States, and we never sent any more taxes to the United States. But a lot of blood was shed. A lot of blood has been shed in America and by Americans in order to protect human rights across the world. Most of Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand is bound in alliances, Japan as well, and South Korea, and parts of all of North America and South. They're all under these military safety protection agreements against tyranny. And the tyranny comes from, it looks like it comes from China, it looks like it comes from Russia, it looks like it comes from Tehran in the Middle East and Venezuela and Colombia and Cuba and so on. But the real tyranny is right here and right here. Okay? It's very, very scary. They're right here in our own houses, in our own country. Okay. Phoebe Fitzpatrick. Vom Red. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. But hello anyway. So there we go. Just wanted to get back over here. Greetings. Okay. So, let's see. We got Phoebe. We got Necessary Truth. There's somebody from Russia by the looks of it. I can't read Russian. Sorry. Hello, Ivona. And hello, Karen. And where am I? I'm just having a quick look through the chat. And Maria. Okay, yes. So I got a couple of readings booked. Let's see if anyone else shows up. Sometimes I get very, very sad about my little channel, and it's dying like a slow death from 1,000 paper cuts. That's what it feels like over here. And I've been doing this for 5 years, and I had a peak, and it's sort of kind of fizzled. And I know there are alternatives. There's, BitChute, where I can say what I want, basically. And they'll publish it. There's Rumble. I can say what I want and they'll publish it. There's Twitch. I can do that as well. There's a couple of other places. There's XOTV and a few others. But here's the downside. It's very difficult to monetize any of that. There's very little in the way of live streaming. There's virtually nothing in the way of super chat. You notice I've hardly got any super chats here anymore because I get the money directly through PayPal from most people now. But here's the downside. Things have diminished so far that I don't even generate enough super chat to collect my Google AdSense revenues. Because I used to collect a couple of bucks every month from Google, but I'm so far below the threshold for collection that it's not even worth their while sending the money, so they don't. So I'm losing a couple of $100 a month just because of, I would say, decay. It makes me really angry and sad and depressed, and there's virtually nothing I can do about it. Okay, and it says, hello, Maria Clark. That's your mom. Hello, Maria Clark over there in New Zealand. I got all sentimental. Some of you know that I've spent time in New Zealand, and I have dear friends in New Zealand. And I got sentimental, so I was watching some videos about a couple of the towns and some of the weather and some of the news and everything. I know you've got summer. I know you just had a huge cyclone. I know you just had a freedom rally, and it got very violent. Welcome to planet Earth. Yeah. So, yeah, but I'm over here in Las Vegas. And let's see. Okay, let's see if I'm missing something. What I've been doing lately, so that you understand, is that I'm very aware of my own demise here, and I have actually tried to set up alternative channels, but without having a huge media campaign that I really can hardly do anymore. I could try it. I could try like a constant contact bulk email thing, because there's maybe 60, 80, 120 people there or something, and maybe that'll help. And we'll see what happens. But right now I don't have any great ideas, and I've become so consumed with my own little tiny microscopic world and my world view, that I'm finding there's a big equation to do with time as well. Finding the time and energy for everything to coalesce in such a way that would make things work. Really, the only way things that could work is I start a brand new channel and I do about 8 minutes a day, 7 days a week, consistently. And I never talk about astrology or tarot, and I never talk about the cabal or the elites or all the corruption. I never talk about weapons, and I never talk about revolution. And then maybe I can have a channel. But those are the things I only think about or talk about. So, like, what's the point? You know? I could go back to doing, like, love readings and stuff like that. But, frankly, I'm feeling like I'm wasting my energy to do that because there are so many good channels now that do it. And I'd rather stay focused in my own field of preference, field of view. Excuse me, let's go back to the stage over here. So, here we are again. A quick look at the astrodoodle for the day. As you notice, there's a lot of big, green, fat, harmonious energy between Earth and water. There's a Capricorn, Cancer in opposition. Okay? I don't see that as bad news. I just think it is a very stark awakening in terms of relationship dynamics. like we the people across the world are starting to realize and feel it in our hearts, in our homes, that there's something very, very unstable happening, and it's actually a good thing. Mars is conjunct Venus. Venus is conjunct Mars. Okay? That's kind of an awkward one. But also Pluto and Mercury are conjoined. That's very powerful when it comes to business and finance. And these aspects here, you could take this as a whole big fat wall of green harmonious energy when you connect it to Uranus and Taurus and the massive upheavals in global finance. I am personally starting to learn and discover some amazing wonders in global finance, and if I had the courage, I would share with you now, but I really can't prove anything until the end of 2023. In the meantime, I have to consider myself a novice and and learn myself, and once I've proved what I can do and how I do it, then I will share that with everybody. In the meantime, we have to keep living every single day at a time. There's tremendous, intense pressure here between the Aquarian energy and the North Node. The North Node wants honest money, real, live, sound money on a global scale, and money that works for the people. But we are being tested. We, the people, are being tested. How much do we really understand about money and our sovereign selves, our sovereign rights, and our right to be respected as a group of humanity, as opposed to a bunch of debt cows on a slave camp working for a cabal they're basically farming us. Literally, they are literally farming you like a industrial farming of cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, shrimp, salmon, all of that. Anyway, we are being tested, and as we are being tested in very beautiful, unstoppable ways, the lies, the sickness, the betrayal is being revealed more and more than ever before on planet Earth. The whole of YouTube is waking up to some of the stuff that I talk about here. The whole of planet Earth and all the humanity, in terms of we the people, are waking up too. And they are now speaking out about the lies and the betrayal, the deception, the abuse, the squalor, and the filth that comes from the extreme oppression, shadow side energy of the elites. This energy here, Mercury, Pluto, Venus, and Mars, is very, very powerful. And it's very powerful, especially in Capricorn. It's a really powerful alignment. And when it's used for the good, it's wonderful. And that's what I'm trying to tap into with finances and global finances. But the flip side is extreme abuse of power, extreme abuse of money, and the desire for intense consolidation of power, money, and control more than ever before. The people at the very top, they want to consolidate more and more and more until they literally have the whole of planet Earth strapped up in barbed wire or invisible barbed wire on a debt farm based on a slave camp. And they're discovering it's going to be a little more tricky than they thought. But anyway, we persist. We the people are persisting. Okay? I'm going to put this aside now. Put that over here. We'll put this over here. Thank you for your donations. If there's anyone out there, by the way, just for giggles, sometimes we get new people showing up. I know we don't have any notifications, so even the regulars barely know that I'm here anymore. But for the sake of professionalism, I should kind of inform you. Hey, anybody, if you're watching out there, if you see the show here tonight and you're visiting or watching, but you're not hanging out in the chat, please, feel free to join in. And what I do here is live mini readings by donation. And the way that works is that if you've got your own PayPal already, you can donate to this email. That's my email here. alittlebookabout@yahoo.com. And just click the money through your PayPal. Some of you know how to do that already. The other thing that you can do is go to, if you're not so used to coming to the channel, you could go over here, let's say on your phone or something, or another tab on your computer. You could go to terralumination.com, click the donate page, find the donate button, click that, the payment processor comes up and you can swipe money through there. And the other way is, actually it's really back to basics. You know how I was telling everybody, come over to PayPal, and now I don't get any super chats anymore. So my Google AdSense revenue has crumbled to virtually zero, and that's really breaking my heart because, like, I know the whole show is just turning into a charity now. It's really, I'm kind of embarrassed, I'm sad, I'm kind of angry. But anyway, if anybody wants to do super chat, I'll take it. If you don't know what super chat is, if you look at the place where you type your chat on the screen, there's a little box underneath. It looks like a gray box with a $sign. You click the box, a payment processor comes up, you swipe your money through there, and it comes right here live, okay? So that's for any newbies, especially, like for Phoebe and the Russian person. Maybe they're Polish. I don't know how to tell the difference with the script or the font. I'm sorry. Anyway. Thank you very much. We've got 2 readings lined up. Let me go over here. Where am I? Okay. Yeah, we got a couple readings lined up. So Maria was first. Now Maria, before we actually dig in, if you have a particular theme or a subject and you want to put it in a couple of words, please type it on the screen. Otherwise, I'll do a complete blind reading. And you know I love doing those, but I can go all over the place. You never know what's going to happen. But if you're concerned about one very specific issue, like, I don't know, relationships, love, money, finance. Well. Look at that. We got a super chat. Oh, thank you, Claudia. Awesome. Wow. That was so cool. Ask and ye shall receive. Thank you, Claudia Caldaduro. There you go. So you just booked yourself a mini reading. Now, Claudia, you're going to have to be patient because we've got 2 people in front of you now. Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you so much. Oh, man. Anyway, Maria, I was saying, if you got any particular notes you need for me. Hello, Claudia. Welcome. Please introduce yourself. Like, you know, some of you people here before, you know I like to know where everybody is. So, Claudia, we've got a few people here tonight. Necessary Truth is up here in the New York area. Ivona is up in the New Jersey area. Karen Clark is over here in New Zealand, and Karen's mom is there in New Zealand. And Maria is over here in Arkansas. And who did I miss? Anybody I missed? I think I got it, folks. I think I did it. Yeah, anyway, yeah, thank you. Yeah. Cool. So, Claudia, where are you? I'm very, very curious. Are you in the United States? Are you, Europe, something? I mean, I get people, I do get people from all over the world. I remember sometimes we had like 10 or 15 countries on the same show at one time. It was wonderful. Claudia, you're in Los Angeles. Oh my God. Claudia, I have to connect with you. Give me a second. Hey, Claudia. I spent 20 years of my life in Los Angeles. I worked in movies and TV for 25 years, roughly. And then it all kind of fizzled. I had health issues, and then March 3rd, 2020, everything just went berserk. And I realized I had to get out. And it was a very ugly, scary time. I lived right by the beach in Venice. You know, Needle Row, Junkie Alley, all the homeless, Silicon Beach, Google headquarters. And I worked all over greater Los Angeles in pretty much every movie studio, TV studio, lots of movies, lots of TV shows. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I got totally immersed in the business, but I was never part of the, you have to, anyway, yeah. Oh, Janet Webster's here. Good evening. Sorry there's no notifications. All right, so there you go. You're in Los Angeles. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What part of LA? Los Angeles is huge. Not by Chinese standards. Los Angeles, Greater Los Angeles County and all that, in whatever, southern, you're looking at what, 13 million people, but whatever. Yeah. Yeah, Venice has become unrecognizable. You lived there in the 90s. You live in Mount Washington. Oh, okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, Claudia, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And somebody about a birthday. What was that? Karen's, your birthday's coming up. Oh, whoa, okay. She got the bus from Gisborne, which is on the other side of the North Island. Oh, that's 12 hours. That's a long ride. I know it doesn't look like much from here. Let me show you, everybody. Karen's mom. Okay, so you won't be able to see it on here. But anyway, here's New Zealand. This is the North Island right here. Karen lives on top of the T at Wellington. And her mom lives kind of over, where's Gisborne, right? Sort of over there. And there's a lot of mountains and things and everything, so I'm not surprised it took so long. Jeffrey's here, oh my God. Thanks, Jeffrey, for showing up. Wonderful to have you. Cheers. All right. Let's see. You understand why I left. Oh, it was horrible. It was just horrible, Claudia. I lost so much. I had battles with tenants and everything. It was just horrific. Huge financial losses, health. I was literally scared out of my wits. I was terrified. Over my... let me just finish here with Claudia. It's like, I can't. So Claudia, you know Venice. I used to actually live right at the epicenter of where a lot of the strife was. There's Lincoln Boulevard, and then there's Rose Avenue. That is a very important cross-section in Venice. And at that cross-section, there is a lot of homeless facilities. There's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of rich hipsters, a lot of very, very wealthy techies driving around in Teslas and Lamborghinis and, McLarens and Mercedes, whatevers, and Jaguars, whatever. And they all have to drive around and in and around and through all these homeless people. It's very, very tragic. So right on that corner of Lincoln and Rose, there's a Whole Foods and a 99-cent store right next to each other, which is kind of ironic. But anyway, it got to the point with Whole Foods that they had 4 or 5 armed guards there all day, every day. And they had to, because things would get really, really ugly and scary. People get hungry. Poor people, homeless people get hungry. And when there's a grocery store across the street, guess where they go? Anyway. Oh my God. Oh, there's lots. Oh, so you lived on Rose and then in Brooks. Oh my God. We would have been neighbors. If I had lived there back in the 90s, yeah, we would have been neighbors. We would have hung out. We would have had barbecues. We would have gone walking on the beach, hanging out at the Candle Cafe. Oh my gosh. I love the Candle Cafe. I miss it so much. Everything got really disgusting. I'm sorry. I know there's going to be shifts and changes. I'm sorry. I'm getting all sentimental now. Yeah. Hi, Jeffrey. Good to see you, man. Please give everybody an update. You're a very, very shrewd, young, active businessman. So just you don't have to do readings or anything. Just give everybody an update of what you're up to. Where are you? How are things are going and all that, okay? All right. All right, so Maria, we're going to do a blind reading for you, okay? Thank you so much. I have to admit, I do love doing the blind readings. I have to admit, Maria, actually anybody and everyone who's watching, I have to admit that sometimes I wonder, how did I ever do this? How did I even start the channel? I know I did it, but at the same time I kept thinking, like, how on earth did these tarot readings and the astrology actually happen? Because, you know, it's very, very subjective. And I went through like years of training with advanced alternative yoga stuff and, you know, alternative energy healing. And I got exposed to all of those worlds. I'm not much of a practitioner today. I have a very simple life. But I try to operate in such a way that I'm just a simple instrument. I try to give myself over to humanity as an instrument where I am a transmitter and a receiver. I am receiving and I am transmitting simultaneously, just like a cell phone, okay? In the talk voice mode, not text, just talk. I can talk with somebody at the same time they can talk to me. We can actually talk over each other. But in a healthy situation, when I'm operating like I'm working now, or when I used to do energy healing with people, I would basically dedicate myself to being a really good, wholesome, capable transceiver, where I become neutral and I literally just allow my body to be an instrument, a portal for the transmission of energy. The energy comes from out there. It is literally the energy of the universe, the energy of love and healing. And then it condenses by choice, and then it comes out. So it's like a distillation process, and then you go from there. But sometimes, because I used to be so saturated in this stuff, I'd be going to my yoga 3-4 days a week. I'd be studying this and studying that. I'd be doing readings for people and blah, 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 blah. I'd be doing healings and stuff. And I think I had a major burnout and all sorts of horrible, scary things happen. And so I got very, very shaken up, and I sometimes go through these periods of extreme self-doubt, like, who am I? What do I think? What do I even think I'm doing here, even trying to do this? And then that just happened here tonight, right now, about a minute and a half ago. I got very kind of scared and shaky, like, what am I doing? What gives me the right to do this? And then I felt this beautiful, warm touch, like a big fat hug. Guess what? It's my invisible friends. They're right here. They're literally right here and there. I am surrounded. I am totally blessed by an awesome panoply of invisible friends. Most of them I don't know personally. They're probably people from past lives and future lives. Sometimes I have very vivid, clear, visual like sensations. A lot of things are done through what I would call sign language, using hands, and also what we would call synchronicity or serendipitous events on Earth, where things just seem to magically fall into place, where you realize you are guided and you are protected. And what they were trying to tell me is like, don't worry, you're fine. You're just fine. We understand why you're scared and why you feel very, very, let's say, reticent about your whole life and your world right now. We understand, okay? But the reality is you've got us and you're okay. So just go for it. No sweat, okay? Just do what you do, okay? Wait a minute, I just saw something else. Maria, bear with me. I just saw something else. Tina is here. Heather is here. Hello. Apparently there's no notifications. Janet, I saw you earlier, yes? Yeah, got it. Tina, I just sent you money for my own reading, and I want to donate a reading for whoever needs it. Whoa, okay. Jeffrey's writing off all his taxes, yay. Got to fly to Texas, take care of Dad. He's having surgery, ouch, okay. I know a lot of people here in Las Vegas since I've been staying here. Mostly friends of Love Triber who are dealing with surgery here, surgery there, hospital. It's really scary stuff. All right, so Tina, we've got 2 more readings coming in. So that's enough. No more. I won't be able to handle anymore. Thank you very, very much. Hello, ECAT. Florida? ECAT, Florida? Is that right? Anyway. So, wow. Jeepers. Tina Miller and mystery guest. Alright, so if you read the screen, if you read the chat, everybody, you will see that dear, generous Tina has donated a reading. Okay, she's got one for herself. That's really nice. It's a nice little mini present. And we have a mystery guest, okay? We'll sort that out in a little while. Let's not do it right now. Let's just leave this. I did it. I got it right, ECAT. Thank you. I'll put this over here and we'll see what happens. Eventually, someone will show up. Do you remember that we've had those certain situations on some of the shows, some of you might remember, where there are people who are literally in a state of desperation in their lives, and eventually they break down and somehow they end up at the Tarot Lumination show and they get a free donation reading from a kind, generous person. So if there's somebody like that out there, your life is falling apart, you're terrified, you've never had a tarot reading before, you've never even typed in a chat before, and you're absolutely terrified, well, now is your moment. If you want to cash in, there is a free reading. I might have to do a little mini lottery. Who knows? I've been shut down for doing those before. Ticket companies shut me down. Oh, God, it's just... All right, here we go. I'm going to use the Universal Golden, which is basically the Rider-Waite Tarot, like almost everyone else uses. And I like to keep it very, very simple. No jumpers, no flyers, no reversals. I love the painting and the artwork of the cards and the art from their original format. Okay. Now, cards are already well shuffled in advance, but I like to go from the very beginning so that you are all witnesses, okay? Maria, this one is for you. Let's bless this deck. And for tonight, for everybody, bless every single card in the deck. While we're at it, let's bless the cameras, the technology, the microphones, the lighting, all the cables, the internet, the platform of YouTube, the ability to do PayPals and Super Chats and donations, all of that. It's just miraculous. And this channel has been such an important part of my life for the last four years, almost 5 years. Thank you all very, very much. Maria, you are up. Okay, so in case you're not aware of it, if you're watching on the sidelines, I keep things very, very simple. I like to use I have basically three custom spreads that I use for everything. I can get a lot more complicated later on if you want. If you want to book a private reading, fine, we can do that. But otherwise, I use the situation spread, which is kind of like when you go to an auto tech place and get your car plugged in and diagnostics when the check engine light's on. You need to know what the hell is going on because you have to reveal it to heal it. It's the same thing with us here, with healing the heart, body, mind, and soul. You have to reveal it to you have to know what's wrong in order to heal it. In other words, if you've got a broken back, it's not going to be healed through aspirin and, acupuncture. No insult, but if your spine is broken. So, if you've got, if you've got, some kind of cancer, you're not going to heal that with Band-Aids and plaster, okay? So I was trying to make a point anyway. Never mind. Tina Miller says, it's been so warm here. High 30s. Wow, that's toasty warm. Woo! You must be jumping around in your t-shirt. Okay. All right, Maria. Sorry, I haven't been here on this show for 2 weeks now. I did that show about the astrology a few days ago because I had to do it. I was obliged. Anyway, here we go. Here's the spread. It's very, very simple. I'm just going to cut things up very, very simply. And I am going to basically take advantage of my invisible friends and be very, very grateful that I am guided and that I am protected. And I'd like to extend all of that energy to you guys as well. Here's the situation, here's the challenges, and here's how we handle it. So Maria, we've worked together before. You have a very full life. A lot of things have happened. You've been here, done this, and done that, okay? Okay? All right, so for complete newcomers, for example, Claudia, okay? It's a situational spread. I can kind of cover any subject this way. It really makes life so much smoother. And then over here I'm going to look at the bottom, and that's going to give me an indication of surrounding influences, external influences. Let's say energies outside of you, the person, Maria, for example. The planets is the best example that I use almost all the time. So we have here the Four of Cups. Okay, so I don't know anybody who really enjoys seeing this card. It's not the end of the world, okay? Let's blame it on the planets, okay? Phew. Such a relief when I've given myself permission to blame everything on the planets, I've decided. But anyway, depending on your sun sign and all those things, there's a lot of harmonious energy here, okay? But these angles here, the red ones, are extremely harsh, okay? And the angles and these placements are the same for everybody on planet Earth, okay? The only difference is where is it impacting you relative to your natal chart. So for example, Maria, you might be in a situation where your heart chakra, your heart center is, let's say, seriously retracted, probably from what I would consider long-term pressure of having been let down and disappointed and tasted failure and loss, okay, in many aspects of life. I'm not trying to be depressing here, but ways that affect you at the heart center. For example, some of the things that hurt really hard are things like the loss of a child, the loss of a loved one, like perhaps a parent or an uncle or a dear friend or something like that. Perhaps the loss of a lover, or the feeling of not being loved, not being appreciated, even though you have been loving and you have been loved. I'm sure, Maria, you know what it's like to be loved, and you know what it's like to be loving. But sometimes we go through periods where it seems like there's a massive vacuum, and sometimes it can feel very unfair. Now, I can't remember your chart off the top of my head. I'm sure we've worked on it in a private reading or something. But the Aquarius-Taurus axis is very harsh. And the Capricorn-Cancer axis is very harsh. So if you have anything in your planets or rising sign that is to do with Aquarius, Taurus, Capricorn, or Cancer, we can assign those as trigger points, okay? Okay, Maria, Aquarius, Gemini. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Isn't it amazing? So if you have very strong Aquarian themes, Maria, here's where you might be feeling the pain. Okay? The sun is in Aquarius right now, which is shining a bright light on everybody with an Aquarius theme, but especially for Aquarians or wherever this aspect lies in your chart. But please note that Saturn is sitting here. It's been sitting here for what, 9 months or something, and it's got another, put it this way, okay, Maria, Saturn, when did it move? I think a few months ago, Saturn moved into Aquarius. And this is roughly a 2.5-year cycle, okay? So Maria, this can feel like depression, sad, frustration, repression, losses, failures, and the sense that it's like looking in the mirror and looking at yourself, and you're actually just fine, but you see yourself in a much more miserable light. It's like you would look at yourself like, I know for a fact when I look in the mirror now or right now and I go there tomorrow morning, I'm going to look pretty much the same unless there's some kind of explosion or accident and I turn into lots of pieces or whatever. And physically we don't change that much. Some people do. They do a lot of shifts and changes visually. I don't change that much. But what can happen is when you look in the mirror with the Saturn energy, it can still be you, and you can be all lit up with the Aquarius sun, which is very invigorating and supportive for you. But with that theme of Saturn there, it's like having, it's almost like the feeling like when you have bags under your eyes and you're trying to smile, but it's not working very well, and your heart feels really disappointed and let down. And you've been tested and unfairly and challenged unfairly in every aspect of life, and it leaves you feeling it's hurting here. And the reason you might hurt here is because you're seeing physical evidence. Saturn energy really affects the physical environment. And so if things are not working out for you physically, for whatever reason, maybe it's health, finances, all the things that are really, really obvious on the physical level. Maybe there's a leaky roof, or the car's having a problem, or jobs, work, career, Saturn, when you think of long-term career relationships and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we have a very, very good excuse for you to feel down in the dumps right now. Blame it on Saturn, okay? Also, if you really want to get fancy, watch this. Even if you've got Taurus energy inside of you, the North Node here and Uranus in Taurus is having a loose, hard square on Saturn, on the Aquarius theme. So right now, you're feeling Saturn energy directly, which we can totally blame Saturn for the Four of Cups. But there's a secondary pressure coming from even further extremes out here from Taurus, because the Taurus Aquarius square is very, very hard. Okay, on physical reality. Okay, so you might feel it. Hello, Lynn Wolf. Vum today. Okay, thank you very much. Vum today. Let's see, what's the situation itself? Let's have a look here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it looks to me that there's a reason you came here tonight is because you're probably feeling seriously down in the dumps, especially when it comes to love or romance, but, in relationships and things like that. But ultimately, this is a reading about you. So even though, I'm looking at external influences here, it's your whole life is ultimately about you and the internal experience that you get from relating to a world that is external to you. So, to me, with the Five of Cups here, it looks like there are some very obvious reasons in your life why you would be grieving at the moment. And if grief is an appropriate word for you right now here tonight, and it is the best word, it's better to admit it, because if you are in a state of grief, but you're trying to deny it, let's say here, like with the Four of Cups, let's just say you're sad, mixed up, confused, perhaps feeling dejected and unloved, and you're so consumed with that energy because it's been so prominent. Okay, remember, those are beautiful little cups, but look at the poor girl there. It gets so bad that you actually forget that there is life out there. I like to look at this as a little miniature Ace of Cups. It's always there, but you have to choose that. But it becomes very, very hard to choose that when you're under so much pressure. My feeling here is that I don't mean to hurt you any more than you are hurting already, but my feeling is that you're actually probably hurting a lot more than you would even admit to yourself. But it's time to admit it to the self and allow the energy of grief and grieving to proceed and flow, okay? So, see, also please pay attention to the notes there from Necessary. She's being very helpful. So with the Five of Cups, like, nobody wants this. On the other hand, if you pretend or deny or try to block the energy of grief, it can really amplify the pain and suffering in the heart chakra, okay? So my feeling here is that the real message here with the Five of Cups is that it's very important to acknowledge if you're hurting at the heart center, and to even to be honest, because people don't want it. They don't want to admit how much they are hurting, how much they are in pain. Most people try to hide their pain, okay? But it's very, very important to acknowledge this in some way, shape, or form, because you've got to reveal it to heal it. This cannot be healed without acknowledgement, okay? It needs to be open. I think, even though this is a public reading, and maybe you didn't necessarily want everybody to hear about these things in this way, it's very important that it is exposed. So now you have witnesses, okay? So you can grieve in company. We are here for you, okay? If you want to share anything with anything about anybody, go ahead. I'm going to keep on with your reading. Hello, Robin. I see you. Okay. So, look at this. Look at this with the Ace of Cups. Do you see the Ace of Cups? To me, this indicates there's an extreme, deep, like, heart-shaking fear that love really doesn't exist. It never did exist. It's never going to exist anymore. All the stuff you've seen in movies, whatever glimpse or taste of love you've had in your life, my feeling is that you're so terrified that you reach a point of bitterness, like, I'm screwed, I'm totally done. Love is useless, love is nothing. The healing power of love, that's just a myth. Loving relationships, that's bullshit, that's just in books and movies, TV shows. Love does not exist. There is no Ace of Cups. There is no love if we choose. That little Ace of Cups does not exist in my world. That's how bad it is right now, okay, Maria? It's very, very important to acknowledge that. Sometimes these energy frequencies, sometimes they can get so bad, the more and more you bury them, the more and more they feed on themselves until it becomes your reality. There becomes like so much void, so much emptiness of love. The thing is, you are acutely aware of the energy field of love, otherwise you wouldn't have all these cup cards here. It is there. And yes, there may be reasons to grieve. That needs to be acknowledged and brought to the surface, clearly and utterly to the surface. And then it's okay to feel that there's nothing, that there's a void. It's just a vacuum. Like when I die, no one's going to love me, no one's going to know me. It's over. It's just, you just go to oblivion. Like if you've lost somebody, whatever. Anyway, how are we going to deal with this? It's like we go full circle. Okay, so this is going to require some serious healing, okay, Maria? I know it looks just simple. There's just 4 little cards. But the recipe is actually very, very simple. It's like you have to go from here all the way back to here. You start here with the full image, but right now this image is obscured, okay? And it's like, you don't have to declare what your loss is or what exactly is the nature of the pain. Sometimes it helps to name things, but in terms of a public show, you don't have to do that. Right now, it's just enough, suffice it, that you need to deal with this by acknowledging the degree of suffering and pain. You can't brush this aside. You can't say, oh, I'm just a little bit sad. No. You have to acknowledge how bad it is and realize that this is serious and it's going to take some serious healing. And so, when I see the Empress here, to me, the message is all about getting back to absolute square one again. It's It's like you have to do a lot of repairs on yourself, and in certain ways that no one else can do. So it might be a bit of a lonely process, but it's your life. And the healing has to start from within. What we have to do right now is basically it's like starting a fire in difficult conditions. You need a little spark, you need some kindling wood, you need some bits of newspaper, and you need the other bigger pieces of wood nearby to build a fire. And that fire is to build heat and warmth and love inside of you, and to start to radiate the energy of the Empress again. The Empress is like all-powerful. That is the ultimate in girl power. Serious girl power. The Empress never questions her power, her beauty, her fertility, her creativity, her abundance, her wealth, her kindness, her richness, her generosity. If somebody gives you a beautiful ring, you don't go, ha! The Empress would go, oh my God, look at my beautiful ring. Look at that. Oh my God. You know, this would go very well with my beautiful gown of blah blah, or my robe, or my new thing. Oh, I need a new hairdo, something blah blah blah. It's very physical, okay? It's a very physical energy. It's literally about kind of, the way to heal is to understand that you're living your life through your physical body as a woman, okay? And you really need to cherish the body. Body, mind, heart, and soul. Start from the very top. I ask for the healing power of love to fill my body from up above. I ask for the healing power of love to fill my mind from up above. I ask for the healing power of love to fill my heart from up above. I ask for the healing power of love to fill my soul from up above. So it is spoken, so it is done. What I would recommend, I know it's not directly related to this Empress card, but it is directly related to the Ace of Cups. We have to flip that so it's really working for you, okay? So, literally, like Necessary says, you got this. Okay, Maria, you can do this. You have the capacity to heal yourself. You could have all the you could go to doctors, psychologists, you could go to, drugstore and get all sorts of medications thinking you can heal yourself that way. But it's much more about getting in touch with you, the woman at the very core. It's just reminding yourself, you know what? It's okay. I've been burned before. I have felt deep pain and loss and suffering before. This one really sucks. It's really bad, but it's not the end of the show, okay? Life goes on. And even with all the dark, scary stuff that I talk about that's going on planet Earth is still an amazing place of beauty and wonder. A lot of it is very terrifying, like volcanoes, fires, hurricanes, floods, snow blizzards, freeze-ups, desert boiling death, heat, all that kind of stuff. But overall, it's a very beautiful place. So far, there is nothing like planet Earth in the universe. Think of yourself as an absolutely staggeringly beautiful orchid. Okay? Over in London right now, there is the Kew Gardens Orchid Festival. It's staggering in its beauty. It's just amazing. But it takes a lot of work to get there. The Empress does not spare any time or energy or resources to create and maintain her beauty, her femininity, okay? She relishes in being the woman, the girl power. There's no abuse of power. It's just simply the joy of being at your core Empress self. So I think your reading tonight is just simply a reminder, dear Maria, you got to admit how bad it is, but it's not the end of the world. Love is real, okay? But you're going to have to condition yourself. We can work on this in private another time if you want, but maybe it would be an idea, like ask everybody here, please send loving vibes, use your healing hands, use the power of your healing hands to send love directly to Maria so she gets just a little taste. All you need is a little tiny spark, and it rekindles the whole fire again, okay? So we can do that here tonight. I invite everybody here tonight who's watching, however you want to do it, send a little message, send a little healing ray. Remember, let me show you this, okay? Here's what I'm talking about. I know I'm taking a long time with your reading, but it's worth it, okay? Remember, the healing power of love is a real thing, okay? And I used to do this a lot. I don't do it much anymore, but it's a real thing. And let's do some illustrations here. This book from Barbara Brennan is from the 80s, but she is, to my mind, one of the best examples of someone who really understands how to communicate the healing power of love as a professional healing hands healer. Okay? So everybody tonight, please, pretend this is me. Pretend this is me, Tarot Lumination. And this is poor Maria in deep pain at the heart chakra here. Here's some of my invisible friends and everyone else, but also here's some of you here tonight on the show. This is how it actually works in energy healing. It is concerted, concentrated, highly focused energy that can be learned through a professional energy healer. You know, Reiki's a good example of that. But a lot of it is to do with the hands. So please, everybody, send a message. The healing. Look at this. Look at this one. This is like a direct ray of love. Send the message of the healing power of love. Send it directly to Maria. You can do it yourselves directly. All these rays here are the connections of spirit to the divine. This ray here from myself would be like an illustration of myself connecting as an instrument to the healing power of love. But look at the amplification we get here. I am just a facilitator. I am just an instrument of the healing power of love. We all are if we choose. Most people don't, because it's very inconvenient to live that way. But look, this is what actually happens. This is an extremely vivid depiction, because I've had these experiences myself, okay? There you go. This is what it's like, people. You deserve it, okay, Maria? Keep us informed. Oops. Sorry, I'm buckling the folding cover. I'm going to put this back. Put this over here. I'll be right back. Give me a second, folks. Okay. So, you can do this, Maria, but you do need help. You need to invoke that help. You have to ask for the healing power of love to fill your body, mind, soul, and heart from up above, okay? And so it is spoken and so it is done. There you go. Thank you, Claudia. Necessary, you're up now. I hope this helps you, Maria. I'm sorry if we touched on a very delicate, awkward subject. You don't have to say or do anything, okay? I'm just glad we had the chance to read together like this tonight. So we got Necessary, then it's Claudia, then Tina, then a mystery guest. Here we go. Okay. All right, Necessary. If you've got instructions or notes for me, please put it into one word and type it in the screen. Otherwise, we'll do a blind reading, okay? Here we go. Oh, Maria, thank you. Okay, cool. Thank you, Necessary. Oh, I know. You're right. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you, Necessary. You're a genius. You're an absolute genius. I was looking for a quick segue. How can I get out of this right now? I want to go get a little bit of whiskey. So, Necessary said, play us a little song. Well, I'm going to play a little song that I used to do in my advanced yoga stuff. Some of the yoga that I used to do is extremely physical and very active. Some of it involved these kind of very active dance things. And I wrote some music for some of that. And it's not very well produced, but you get the message. I'm going to play a song called I Am Healing. Okay, and it's a fast little jumpy song. I have another healing song called Fighting Well, but that's more of an aggression thing. This is more about just a declaration. I am healing, I am healed. Those are the lyrics for the whole song. I am healing, I am healed. It's one of the tricks we do in yoga where you just mesmerize yourself with words and voice. I am healing, I am healed. I am healing, I am healed. I ask for the... and so on. You get it? But I like to do it with music and make it very energetic and fun. And let me see if I... Woo! I don't know. Let's have a look. I am healing. It works. Okay, here we go. I'll be back in a few minutes. Song. Yeah. Anyway, I decided to take things a little gently, and I went to get some red wine instead. I'll probably have to have my little whiskey at some point, but that'll be later. You'd never know it today. Hey, Claudia, I'm glad you like this. I'm so glad. I used to be a dancing, disco crazy maniac when I was a kid. I would just literally go berserk, and I was not a very coordinated dancer, but I could keep a beat and make my body gyrate. I don't do it so much anymore because I'm sort of older and more flimsy and a lot more fragile. I've had quite a lot of, let's say, physical accidents and health issues. So I'm very, very reluctant to like throw myself at walls anymore or go crashing onto the floor anymore, okay? But dance is a very powerful healing energy, especially when it's done in the context of healing. I know I experienced some incredibly powerful, let's say, alternative healing energy through these, let's say, processes. Anyway. All right, necessary, here we go. All right, cheers. Thank you again for your kindness and generosity. Everything is great in 3DTL. Okay, well, I'm just going to give you an automatically good reading where every card's going to be wonderful. Okay? Got to clear some space here. Okay, I'm going to put this over here. That's a little bit cluttered. Sorry, I'm going to try and avoid an accident here because I've got all these beverages and stuff. Give me a second. All right, so necessary. Let's have a look what's going on up there. I'm glad to see notes where it says everything great in 3D, TL. Yeah, because for sometimes when people arrive here, things can be really bumpy. Over the years, some of you know, we've had some very serious incidents with tragedy and pain and loss and suffering. But we figure out ways around it. We figure out ways to deal and heal. You got to reveal it to heal it, okay? Oh, okay, we can do that. Let's focus on that. It's very powerful, by the way, okay? You have to understand, dear necessary, spiritual advice messages for John Jupiter and Pisces. Well, Jupiter is moving very fast this particular cycle through Pisces. The Jupiter cycle is roughly 1 year, okay? The Saturn cycle is roughly 2.5 years. The moon cycle is roughly 2.5 days per sign, okay? Uranus about 14, Neptune is about 120 something, Pluto is about 250, and so on and so on. They all have their different speeds at which they zoom around the solar system. But anyway, open messages for Jupiter and Pisces. Perfect, you just nailed it. Now, Jupiter, if you want to think of it, the energy of hope, the energy of benevolence, the energy of just positivity. And it's very much associated with healing as well. So the 12th house is also associated with disease. And 6th house, the opposite, is with healing. And again, when I see here, you've got to reveal it to heal it. I think what's happening here on a global scale, okay, necessary? Just what's happening in the global mainstream media, that which needs to be healed is being revealed. It's being revealed through the mainstream media, even though the mainstream media does not want this to happen. The problem is that the stuff that's been going on with planet Earth, especially in the last 2 years, but especially in the last 2 weeks, with Saturn conjoining Aquarius, the energy of revolution about we the people, sitting right on the south node of America, and on the moon of America, and on the moon of China, is that we're getting a lot of stuff revealed. And a lot of it is not very pretty, okay? The Olympics is kind of a farce, okay? Right now, shocking things being revealed over there. Now, when you conjoin Jupiter and Neptune like this, what can happen is you realize the extent of disease and suffering, lies, treachery, and deception that has been going on. And it's shocking. Everybody on planet Earth now, I'm serious, everybody on planet Earth is starting to wake up in such a ways that you cannot avoid the squalor and the filth and the disease that's coming out from the, let's say, the shadow side of this energy here, the Capricorn Pluto energy here. It's extremely powerful, extreme hyper power when you add Mars and Capricorn, and when you add the business of Mercury. And when you pervert that energy and you try to basically turn something beautiful, like the power of Pluto, and pervert it towards power for the self, things get very, very ugly. And what's happening is the mainstream media cannot avoid it. In other words, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, and all the big global media operatives, even the BBC and Reuters and Associated Press, they have to report on these things now because they are so big they cannot avoid reporting. My personal opinion, I'll be right with you, necessary, but my story, I'm trying to relate this to you directly, okay, necessary, but on a global scale. Right now, the elites are so terrified of what's happening in Canada and Europe, Australia and New Zealand, they are using brutal raw power, Mars and Capricorn, to try and suppress the freedom and desires and rights of we the people. Things are getting ugly. It's only just starting. It's going to get much uglier, and it's going to spread over years to come. Okay, I'm just warning you now. Okay, Saturn is warming things up in that regard. Okay, huge karmic lessons for planet Earth and humanity are happening. This is historical for the world. Anyway, the thing is that, oh gosh, I was just trying to illustrate it here with, how can I do this? Okay, let me do it this way. Everything is exactly as it should be. Humanity needs this revelation to happen, okay? The Capricorn Pisces energy is very harmonious on its own, but we're dealing with the very 6 shadow sides of Pluto, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and Neptune. And what's happening, because Jupiter is moving so quickly, it's going to go through Pisces in a matter of months, zoom into Aries, and then retrograde back into Pisces. And then once it's back in Pisces, then it's going to move forward and eventually back into retrograde again. But that's going to take process over a year. So Jupiter is going to move into Aries like around summertime. It's going to really light things up about how damaged every individual is on Earth. And then it's going to retrograde back in here. It's going to hover very close to Neptune. And so my feeling is that the real depth and squalor and perversions that have been hidden and buried and suppressed for so long by the elites, including all the pedophiles and all the banking and all the, let's say, political corruption, it's going to be exposed. Financial things, huge problems that are going to happen there. And it's unavoidable. And so I would say prepare yourself for an interesting ride over the next year, okay, necessary? Okay, now you invoked messages about this subject coming through Chris and John, okay? Well, for whatever reason, okay, necessary truth, we always seem to have a vivid experience when Chris and John are around. And I was just going for it before we even started your reading there, okay? And then I kind of looked up. I was working. I looked up and I kind of went, oh, sorry guys, I didn't mean to override you or anything. I know we're trying to work as a team here and everything. But at the same time, I get these feelings where I get hands on my shoulders kind of feeling. Well, I felt that from Chris and John. I felt as though they were right here in the room, being very, very polite and respectful and observant. And they were watching what I was doing as though they were on the other side of the stage, just observing. And when I looked up in shame and guilt, I was so embarrassed that I had just ran ahead without their participation. They said, don't worry, man, you got it. Just stay in the flow. We're here, so it's effectively like Chris and John are here, but just keep going. You're fine, okay? So I just wanted to let you know, okay, necessary. They are here. They are very, very present, but in a very, very neutral way, which is kind of unusual for them. But anyway, they're here. Cheers, by the way. Thank you for your generosity as usual. Oh, you know what just came to me, necessary truth? I got this thing from Chris and John, but mostly from Chris. It felt like it was from Chris, where it said it's almost like Chris was talking to John. Okay, for clarity. Just imagine Chris is over here on the far side of the stage. John's over there on the far side of the stage. And they're chatting amongst themselves. And Chris was commenting to John. He was saying, you know what, John, this is kind of cool because this is one of the few places where we really get to show off. Hardly anybody knows about us except Necessary and TL and a few people on the channel. But it's so much fun. Anyway, there you go. Here we go. Let's have a look. What kind of messages? So I wanted to give you a little bit of background because when you touched on Jupiter in Pisces, that can be very, very healing, okay? In the way that you got to reveal it to heal it. But the beauty comes in the, I guess, the benevolent spirituality that is lit up. And also the, how do I put this in words? It's like when a doctor, imagine Jupiter is representing the energy of the good doctor, and the doctor comes up and says to you, you know what, necessary, I have no idea how you've managed to get this far in your life. It's like you're a miracle. You've been through so much. You're so far connected to the farthest reaches of spirituality in heaven, and you've got your invisible friends and John and Chris and everything, which is highly unusual. Typically, those kind of folks have a very, very hard time functioning here on planet Earth. But I want to say, you know what? You're doing a really good job. And it's almost like a message of thank you, okay? All right, here we go. Let's see what's coming up here. Messages. So, no, Chris, back off. Back off. You can't shuffle the cards for me. I have to do this myself. God. Prankster, man. Prankster. All right, let's have a look. What kind of messages do we have for necessary today regarding Jupiter and Pisces and all that? Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. Now let's have a look. As you know, I like to blame the planets for everything, but we've talked a lot about that, so let's have a look. So, we got the Page of Wands here. This is very, very encouraging. To me, this is an indication, like this is a setup, okay? You might not have expected this, okay, necessary truth, but you were asking specifically about spiritual messages regarding the energy of Jupiter in Pisces. To me, I see it as extremely benevolent for you. Even though on a global scale, the way I'm translating it is that it's magnifying by huge amounts everything that is ugly and wrong and diseased and corrupted and perverted and squalid and rotten and evil in the human experience right now. And most of that's coming from a small handful of people over here who are trying to propagate their evil agenda on the whole of planet Earth. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. So, what you can anticipate, okay? I'm just giving you a heads up, okay, necessary? The sun is already here in Aquarius. It's going to be entering Pisces energy soon. And then over a 30-day period, roughly, the sun is going to move through Pisces as well. And there's going to come a moment in time where the sun is going to sit right in here, in between Jupiter and Pisces. So it's going to be very, very, very strong. I'm not sure exactly how many days from now, but we're talking a matter of days, probably about a month, maybe not quite a month. But at that time, I would expect a lot more to be revealed and lit up. If you think of the sun as a huge flashlight, it's going to light up things even more. And Jupiter is going to celebrate and rejoice in the revelation for the healing. And at the same time, it's going to meet extreme resistance. Okay? There's nothing, let's say, obviously, there's not a lot of huge, big, red, ugly red lines here on the Piscean energy theme. But nevertheless, there is going to be a revealing for the healing. And that will apply to you in your own life too. Okay, necessary? This could be a real breath of fresh air. It's almost like if you've been pondering, like, what's wrong with my life? digging deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It's like looking through a really old kitchen drawer. It's piled up with junk and stuff. And you decide the only thing to do now is just take out the whole freaking drawer, tip it on a huge floor somewhere, and pick through everything and figure out what is it that's stinking everything up here. It's like trying to find black mold inside a refrigerator or something. And you know, the refrigerator is full of stuff, and there's something wrong. You know there's something wrong inside your refrigerator, and you decide the only thing to do is completely empty the refrigerator, shine a flashlight everywhere, and then you will discover the problem. It could be a crack in the plastic and weird chemicals are leaking or whatever it is. But you got to reveal it to heal it. And then that's actually a beautiful thing, because when you reveal it to heal it, there is joy. Okay? Think of Jupiter and the joy. And so to me, this looks like a very, like a warm hug to me. It feels like, don't worry, necessary truth, you've got this. Just keep going. Keep going, maintain the spirit, maintain the Jupiter optimism. Remember, Jupiter is your ruling planet when it comes to the Sagittarius vibe. Some folks know that you have a very strong Sagittarian theme. And so you might as well celebrate that. Capitalize on Jupiter in Pisces, okay? Especially when we get into Pisces season, especially when the Sun conjoins Jupiter and Neptune, okay? It's going to happen soon. So you've got plenty of time to prepare and start to notice little synchronistic hints. And you might feel it in your dreams or get some kind of, celestial messages that will give you hints and clues about what is actually wrong. And then, of course, once you know, then you've got a chance. There is hope. Okay? It's joyful. Okay, I've never heard you say that before. You died when you were 18. I don't think you've ever said that on the channel before. But you're here now, and very strong and very vivid. To me, this looks like a calm sense of encouragement that you are on path, and you just simply need to keep going. Trust in your divine self. Trust in Chris. Trust in the healing power of love. Trust in your community, your friends, and know that you are on path. You will be healed. You are guided. You are protected. What's the situation itself? Okay, so if you are sensing that maybe not right now, but you are entering into a time of reckoning. Now that could be something to do with the Saturn energy in some way. I can't remember any kind of details about your chart, but my feeling here with the Justice card is that things are being brought into balance exactly and perfectly. Everything is exactly as it should be. How and why is that so? Well, the answer is because it can't be any other way. Everything is exactly as it should be. Things are the way they are. All the extremely ugly things happening on planet Earth, that's exactly what happens when a bunch of really ugly, mean, greedy, power-hungry, money-hungry, control-hungry people decide they want to take over the whole world. They are meeting resistance, and that is very pure and perfectly balanced. And the scales will shuffle. Now, in your own world, you've experienced pain and suffering. You've said you died when you were 18. But you're still here. You're going to keep it going. The way I see it here is simply by keeping going, staying true to your truth, being true to who you are at the very deepest core. Everything is like clicking into place the way it should do. This is not any kind of emotional energy. It's very much about like facts and information. In other words, you planted these seeds 20 years ago. They turn into this now. And it was a beautiful thing. You planted some seeds years ago that were like weeds or something. They're coming into fruition now. This is what it looks like. Everything is in balance. There's the beautiful, bountiful garden, the wonders of Jupiter and Taurus, and then there's the weeds, okay? Gardens always have weeds. You got to keep doing the weeding. And in that case, when you do that, everything is continuously brought back into balance. Okay? So if there is some kind of reckoning that's coming up to you in your life where, let's say, justice is being served or on the way to being served, you might want to be optimistic and be hopeful that justice is being served in a way that's beneficial and bountiful for you. Okay? What's the problems here? We always have problems. Okay. To me, it feels like there's this like very, very soft but very deep quaking fear that you're scared that there's nobody there for you who's got your back. Is there anybody out there who's really got your back? Like, what if shit really happens? Okay? Like, shit. SHTF. SHTF. I have a channel I like called Pinball Prepper. And my feeling here is that there's this side of you, like, concerning your physical reality, finances, business, jobs, future, career, and all of that. There's this fear like, well, I have done so much myself. I've done everything I can myself to always put my best foot forward, always make the right decisions, do everything in a very responsible, thorough, generous, well-intended manner. Not only for myself, but for my life, my world, everything. But the question is, has anybody got my back? What happens, like with shit hits the fan, like with, I like to watch prepper channels with Love Triber. What happens if really shitty stuff happens and, inflation gets so insane that how do you pay the rent? How do you pay the mortgage? How are you going to pay, keep a car going? How are you going to buy the next pile of gasoline and food and insurance and healthcare plans, blah, 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 money, money, money? What happens if things get really bad? Is there anybody there for you? It's almost like you're saying to yourself, is anybody there for me? Is anybody going to come to rescue me? Anyway, let's see. How are we going to deal with this? I understand your fear because there's a lot of people on planet Earth right now who are starting to really look at the world of finances, their finances, the world of money and how it really is and how it really works. And they're starting to realize, my God, TL has been speaking the truth for the last how many years that we are debt cows on a debt farm. That's not good, okay? You already know this necessary, and you're probably way beyond taking care of yourself in that regard. But still, we are all at risk, okay? We are all interconnected financially. And it's really nice to know, for example, in a positive light, it would be really nice to know that you've got people that you can turn to for physical support if things got really, really bad for you, like in the way the world is turning right now. But you're scared that you might not. If you feel a little bit isolated or, let's say, unprepared, for example, like as a prepper, if you're feeling like, oh my God, what happens if nobody really is there for me? Have I got enough stuff in my refrigerator? Do I have enough flashlights and screwdrivers and canned soup and canned survival food and, things like that? Uh-oh. Okay. This is not a reading about preppers or prepping. I'm just going on broad strokes, okay? So how do we go forward here? To me, this looks more or less like... so before I go to this one here, I was stumbling on my words. But what I'm sensing with your reading is that you needed affirmation here, that you are actually on path and you are in a good place. You already stated that. And that sometimes it's hard to get validation or, let's say, certified approval that you are not insane, that you are actually on path, that you're actually doing pretty well as you can, at least put it that way. And so there's nothing inherently tragic or evil going on here. It's much more about, like, let's get things in order. It's almost like going to an AutoZone place or, auto tech place and saying, like, I'm not sure, I just want to, can you just take the, diagnostic machine, stick it in, tell me if I got any problems, I got to get the car smogged soon, everything seems to be great, but I just want to know in advance. So you go to AutoZone, you plug in their free sensor, and it tells you that your car's fine. And you kind of go, okay, I just needed to know. Thank you very much. That's kind of what I'm talking about. How do you go forward here? Okay, with the Nine of Swords, my feeling is that to me, this feels very positive, no matter your doubts. But since there are always elements or fear of doubt, think of them like weeds, okay? Now, you're very vulnerable in your own way, necessary truth, because you're a very, very high frequency spiritual being, like you operate in the worlds of remote viewing, astral travel, and, mediumship with spirits from beyond. So in a way, you're very highly porous, highly vulnerable to intangible influences that could be very toxic or deadly. Think of the Neptune, Pisces, Jupiter energy in the 12th house shadow side. So what I'm sensing going forward here, despite the optimism of what I'm sensing here, it's very, very important to realize that if there is a part, well, not if, it's just since there is a part of you that is questioning yourself, even in the slightest way, that means something needs to be examined here. And when I talk about examining here, please don't be scared of the Nine of Swords. My feeling is like, this is almost the energy of understanding, like, I hope something really bad doesn't happen. But the best way to do that is to stay ahead of the curve. And the way I'm sensing this is to go back to, like, the weeding analogy that I was talking about earlier. The way forward is to, I don't know, I used the story of the kitchen drawer where people just dump all their crap. Or looking inside the fridge and looking for bugs and fungus. Or looking inside the garden, the luscious, bountiful, rich Jupiter garden of spirit, but there are still weeds. If you think of these Nine of Swords as the roots of little weeds, you know how weeds are extremely persistent? It might just be a little thing above ground. You might not hardly notice them, but they tend to be extremely successful. I mean, it's so weird. It's kind of like cockroaches. Weeds are the most successful plants on Earth, as far as I know, because they seem to find a way to grow in anything, anywhere. And they seem to do that by, extracting wealth, power, resources, energy, water, nutrients from the stuff that we like to have in our garden. I mean, if we could find huge amounts of nutrition and wealth and abundance and agriculture from weeds, then that's what we would be doing. But from a human being perspective, weeds are nothing but a pest and a nuisance. And if left untended, like when you're taking care of a garden, like if you ignore the weeding for a week or a month or a year, you might think, oh, it's okay, I'll take care of it later. But when you come back, it's so much harder, it's so much worse than you could have ever imagined. So the way forward, the way I look at it here, is to understand that you are always at risk of the weeds around you in your life, in your world, and you probably more than anyone else, okay, necessary truth. So in order to go forward, talking about the spiritual aspects of Jupiter and Pisces, hooking that up with Neptune in Pisces, and then coming up over the next month with the Sun in Pisces, my feeling is treat this as an amazing opportunity to do the weeding of the garden of your soul. pick through everything, just the tiniest little thing. Aha! I got infected by this unhealthy, toxic concept. That has to go. This one has to go. Oh, this one has to go. I got you. I found you. Ha ha ha. Okay, so think of this as an act of weeding. Over the next 30, 40 days, it's time to weed the garden of your soul. That's it, okay? To me, it's a super positive reading because you're already ahead of the curve. But even if you're ahead of the curve, and when you're ahead of the curve, the potential for weeds to sprout are always there because the chances are the seeds are already there anyway, even if you can't see them. Same thing with like fungus and mold and things like that. Okay, so there we go. Claudia, you're up. I hope you're still here. I hope you've got the patience to survive this far in the show. After Claudia, we've got Tina, and then we're going to figure out who's going to be the mystery guest. Okay. Oh, it says here, two spirits were dropped off. Uh-oh. They gotta go. Thank you for the confirmation. Pests. Yep. It's not like you need miracle grow. It's more like you need hands-on weeding. Highly specialized weeding. Claudia's here. Yay. Wow, we have a fast stream tonight. I only mentioned your name a couple moments ago and it's already coming up on the chat. So my guess is that the YouTube massive servers are not too crowded tonight, even though there's some kind of, I think it's the Super Bowl or something. Okay? All right, Claudia. Somebody's letting off fireworks. That's very strange. I don't know if anybody can hear that, but there is a popping sound in the background, and it's not a gun, it's a firework. Claudia, well, Claudia, this happens on the show sometimes. We get readings that tend to spill over to some of the other audience viewers. I don't know why, but sometimes it happens, you know? Like maybe the theme applies, you know? Maybe not the details, but the concept and the theme, you know? So, Claudia, if you've got any notes, if you could put it into one word, that really helps. Otherwise, I'll just do a blind reading for you. If you're okay with that. People who've done this show before, like if it's an issue like the 4th house of home and family, or the 7th house about marriage, or the 8th house about my finances with insurance companies and retirement, or whatever it is. If you want to think in terms of the astrology, pick a house. Pick one of the 12 houses or something. But, you know, a one-word theme, you know. Capricorn, think career, or whatever it is. So I'm going to shuffle it up, and then we're going to do your reading. All right, this is pretty good. I think we're pretty good. Thank you, Claudia. Really, I'm serious. Very kind, very generous. All these donations are a very important part of my life. All right, here we go. I don't see any notes, so I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to cut it up. Here we go. Oh, necessary truth. Chris and John say thank you and good night to me. They're moving on. All right, here we go. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And let's have a look at the surrounding energy, the external influences, okay? As you know, I like to default everything. Okay, hold on, here we go. Notes. I'm just taking notes. Hold on, stay there, Claudia. I have a Leo sun in the 12th house. I don't have a question. If I had one word, 2021 was a year of loss, especially second half. Yes, okay. Well, you're not alone. Leo sun in the 12th house. Okay. All right, let me just do a little bit of astrodoodle notes here for you while we're at it. So Claudia has a Leo sun in the 12th house. Let's flip this chart around. And loosely, we will try and do this. Okay. So, with a Leo sun in the 12th house on a very simple whole sign chart, Claudia's sun would be over here in the 12th house. Okay, do you see what I've done here? I've just flipped the whole chart around. And in a very simplistic terms, with the Leo 12th house on a whole sign chart, with a Leo 12th house, we would be looking at a Virgo ascendant, and so on. Sagittarius on the 4th on the descendant, Gemini on the midheaven, and the 10th house for career, and so on and so on. Pisces over here in the 7th house of open enemies, marriage, contracts. So, okay, so your sun is over here. Well, guess what? Of course, you might have healing as a theme or a subject in your life. You might be involved in healthcare in some way, shape, or form. Who knows? But you might be doing that in such a way that you're very benevolent towards other people. In other words, because the Leo light is very powerful, and when you put that in the 12th house, it could indicate that you have some significant healing skills. However, the Aquarius theme is quite strong right now, okay? And Saturn is hovering here in Aquarius for many months now, and it's a whole 2.5-year cycle. And so Saturn opposing you in the 6th house of like the actual techniques and tasks regarding healing could make it challenging for you. Also, you might have lived a life where you go through experiences, no matter how bright your Leo light may be, no matter how strong a sense of self and ego you might have, there might be another part of your life which would be, you could describe it as very sad or very tragic, where you could not survive some of the sadness or tragedy without having been born with that powerful Leo light. Now, this isn't going to go on forever. I mean, actually, well, Saturn is going to be here for at least another year, okay? So please understand, Saturn is opposing your sun. It's been opposing for months, and it's going to be opposing for probably at least another year or more, okay? So that means slow pressure, okay? Now, if I want to turn this into a solar chart, watch this. I really love doing this, but it's almost impossible to do this online or with any kind of the high-powered, expensive astrology software. So I just do it by hand. Let's just say you have a Leo sun. Let's put the Leo sun in the 1st house and establish that as your identity. Forget the ascendant, okay? We're just saying Leo sun here. That puts Aquarius energy over here in the 7th house of marriage, significant partners, contracts, business, relationships, and so on. And Saturn is right there, okay? The sun is moving through, and it will move into Pisces soon enough. But Saturn is where you might be feeling the pain, because Saturn is opposing you. Saturn in Aquarius is opposing your Leo sun. It's not the end of the world, but you might feel this like slow, steady, unrelenting, like pressure that feels like you're on a leash, or there's resistance, or there's unfair disadvantages happening for you in life that you don't really deserve, and yet they're happening anyway. Okay? Let's have a look. External energies, impersonal influences. Okay, so let's look at the finances, okay? We got the Five of Pentacles here. It might be really, really good idea right now to take a really hard look at your finances, especially when it concerns contracts with other people. Or for example, okay, I'm going out and above and beyond this axis here. I'm looking, on a solar level, I'm looking at this axis, but I'm going over here to Pisces, okay? How can I explain this simply? Okay. Going back to this axis here. This is the horizon. I'm creating a solar chart for you, and this is where the planets are landing right now. Saturn is opposing you in the house of direct one-on-one contractual relationships. Things like a business contract, a business partner, a marriage partner, and so on, or a very significant person in your life. And you're being brought into stark reality checks with this person or these people. However, what might be happening is that you're feeling it financially, okay? Up here in the 8th house, that's the energy of joint finances. That's what happens when you get into bed with somebody, as they say. Like, they talk about it in business, like blah, blah, blah is seriously in bed with so-and-so. And what they're talking about is joint finances. Now, in your world, on a solar chart, your joint finances are represented here in the 8th house, which is Pisces. And right now you have Neptune and Jupiter there. So if you are dealing with some very, let's say, deceptive or unmanageable aspects in your personal finances, that would be understandable. It's not the end of the world, but it would be understandable, and it would be a subject that really needs close examination right now. So before we even get into the reading, my feeling is that your 7th house is lit up. Sorry, how can I do this again? I'm trying to be. Your 7th house is lit up. Okay, your 7th house is lit up by Saturn, so that's very challenging. And your 8th house of joint finances is very lit up by Jupiter and Neptune, which is very challenging. Okay? So, for example, in the simplest terms, it's just like, oh, I married so-and-so, and I've discovered that they are a thief or they're bankrupt. Or I signed a contract with an insurance policy, and they're not paying up. Or there's something really out of whack with my finances, and I'm discovering, like, oh, I am now liable for the misbehavior of somebody else, and I'm getting financially punished, or I could be financially lost, or I could lose financially because of contractual arrangements that you previously thought or believed or assumed were healthy. And yet, with the Five of Pentacles here, it's an indication that there is something seriously out of whack with your business relationships when it comes to money, okay? You got to be aware of that. What's the situation itself? Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. I just saw something. Thank you, necessary. Yes, this is quite accurate. Not in health field, but my parents were. Oh, this makes sense about Saturn. Okay, so, and then you say, I have a meeting with my business partner on Tuesday. We're not getting along. Okay, well, there you go. That's it. Right there. This is an external influence, but it affects you profoundly because it's the energy of joint finances, joint relationships. In other words, things might have been okay at one point, But if things are rough in business, you have to understand there's partnership energy going on here. Like some marriages, some business partnerships are not durable. They will not survive. Excuse me. Excuse me. Hold on, I need a sip of water. I got some water here. Hold on. So, it's time to examine this situation. It looks like you're already on top of it. So, Claudia, this tells me that you're already pretty well tuned as a human being when it comes to the spiritual aspects of life. You're already dealing with it. Now, with the Knight of Swords, it's an indication to me here that this is a no mercy situation. You are in a situation where you cannot afford to let yourself be screwed over or undermined by sloppy or inappropriate business relationships or contracts that are only now coming to the surface. In fact, it's very important that you declare in very unambiguous terms that you might be extremely pissed off with some of the things that are going on. And it has to be, the messages have to be delivered to the point where it's very clearly understood that you are not going to tolerate any bullshit. Okay? In other words, I'm coming after you. There's no way. It could be, for whatever reasons. I don't know the details, okay, Claudia? But if you've been getting screwed over, or if you've got a business partner who's not pulling their weight, or if they've been skimming, or something that's really, really, really not cool, they're not living up to their contractual obligations, and they're trying to slime their way through it or get away with it at your cost, your expense, it's over. It has to stop. I'm not saying it's a divorce or an execution. All I'm saying is there's no point in trying to be polite or diplomatic here. You're in a situation where you need to be absolutely ruthless in doing what has to be done. And no apologies. Having to say what has to be said. Especially when it comes to documentation or statistics or facts or raw data. In other words, like accounting or things that are skewed up with the numbers or things that have been dishonest. Okay? There's always room for dishonesty in business, but it seems to always show up in the numbers in the end. Alright, so what's the problem here? Obviously there's a problem. Okay, there's obviously something really, really out of whack here with the Six of Pentacles. It's like, who's actually doing all the work and who's making the money? Who is skimming off the top? Are you? So Claudia, in other words, are you carrying some dead weight here? Are you legally responsible for the welfare and life and lifestyle of the other partner? No. They should technically be an equal. You should, if it's a partnership, there should be technically a very formalized contract of equality, of equalities. Like, you do this, and this. I do that. It's basically a 50-50 deal. We're partners, okay? Blah, blah, blah. You do your stuff, I do my stuff. We go to business, okay? But there's something really out of balance here. And my feeling is that you're scared that you might not be able to correct the imbalances. In other words, if you've been a victim of very soft, deceptive, let's say skimming or theft or something like that, and there's some kind of really inappropriate imbalance going on, and it's very detectable, it's very, very measurable in terms of the business, to the point where it's literally not fair in terms of compensation, how you are compensated in business and how the partner is compensated in business. If you are scared that there's something really out of whack, then you have every reason to be scared. There's something I believe it's hidden right now, And I think it's not going to be revealed until you get extremely, let's say, ruthless, raw, brutal in the face of this situation. Hold on, I see a pot of notes. You got it. You're absolutely correct. If the business is to survive, he has to respect me and leave me alone. He bulldozes me. We both work very hard, though. Okay. All right, then. That has to be made very, very clear. There's no way you can do this diplomatically. Okay, Claudia? This is something where it's all about the words. And the words have to be delivered in such a way that are extremely precise, completely unambiguous, to the point where you can literally shut this guy down with a few words or a document. It's probably best if you document this on paper. You document your grievances, you document the situation, and you do this in a very, very controlled, very powerful manner. I'm not saying that's what the card here is. But given your situation, like you said, if the business is to survive, you have to do what has to be done. To me, this looks like you're in a very reluctant position of having to be really ruthless and extremely truthful and raw and blunt. How are we going to deal with that? Okay, this is not the end of the world, okay, with the Three of Hearts here. Remember, this is not a cups reading. This is not like a emotional thing. But it's very much about backstabbing, okay? And it's very much important for you to acknowledge how much pain has been inflicted, how much damage has been done, and how things are so far out of whack that it's unacceptable. You got to reveal it to heal it. So in this situation, my feeling here is that you have to be willing to be really honest, brutally honest with yourself about how seriously out of balance your situation really is. Like, because it sounds like it's a male-female dynamic, and if he's a bulldozer and you're allowing the bulldozer to happen because you're female and you're softer, and he's maybe very strong and capable and dominant, he's just used to walking over people. In other words, he just walks over people because he can, and he's not going to stop unless someone stops him. That's the energy of a bully, okay? So, yeah, Necessary has a good point there. What's the exit strategy? Extremely good point. You might have to consider an exit strategy. So, putting what Necessary is saying here. Hey, Gregory, welcome. Claudia. Okay. Are you willing to accept the continuation of abuse? The abuse has to be acknowledged. And it's not just difficulties in business relationship. We're talking about full-on abuse here. This is an abusive relationship. And you are the one who is losing. You are the one who is suffering. And this will continue as long as you allow it to continue. So you don't really have any choices here. You're going to have to call this guy out. You're going to have to call the partnership out. And if the partnership dissolves, so be it. If he cannot handle the truth, that's his loss. He will have lost a superb partner. So like Necessary was saying, you got to start planning an exit strategy now, unless you want to continue with the abuse. The reason I'm saying it, and the reason I'm amplifying what Necessary is talking about, is because in your situation with a Leo solar chart, you've got a lot of pressure on relationships and finances, okay? Plus, you've got Uranus and Taurus up here in the 10th house of career and destiny and stuff. So you can expect a lot of extreme volatility and unpredictability in your business, in your career, especially if it is a chosen career and a chosen partnership, including very, very tight joint finances. This is the energy of revolution and disruption. So to me it looks very appropriate about what the chart is saying here compared to what's happening with you in your life and what's showing up here in the reading. Okay? So, Claudia, I'm actually really glad you came to this reading tonight, because this is a seriously do not fuck with me moment. Okay? And I think this needs to be put on paper as a declaration. Okay? To me, the most powerful thing would be a one sheet, what's called a one sheet. It's just a document. This is a formal declaration of my grievances. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the situation. We sign a contract, we do this, we do this. Due to recent experiences, I've decided that I'm no longer willing to tolerate blah, 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 blah. Here's my list of grievances. Blah, 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 blah. And then you deliver an ultimatum. Unless you are ready and willing to modify your behavior and your actions and take into account my side of the equation, we have to close the business. Okay? I look forward to your response. Sincerely, Claudia. Okay? In other words, you take charge. You take ownership of the situation. You don't let things fall apart. You don't continue to suck up the abuse. You just say, you know what? I'm no longer willing to be treated this way. If we had something good, that's great, but this sucks. This is not acceptable. This is highly abusive in the workplace. This is workplace abuse. It's not acceptable anymore. I am giving you an ultimatum. You either completely change your behavior, or we're tearing up our contract, our business. I'm done with you. It's up to you. It's your decision. In other words, they're obsessed with power and control. You give them all the power and control. Just give it to them. Just say, it's up to you. You change your behavior. These are my grievances, blah, blah, blah. Put it all on one sheet of paper. Hand it over. Do not apologize. Put it in an envelope, and then carry on with your life and watch what happens. The chances are he might go absolutely ballistic, berserk, or he might choke on himself, or he might go very, very quiet and be shocked and realize, oh my God, I'm fucked without Claudia, and I'm going to change. It's not for you to decide. The only thing for you to decide, Claudia, is you got to take care of yourself right now, and that requires being absolutely upfront, in his face, brutal, with facts, okay? One sheet of paper, like formal sheet of paper, typed, and then put inside an envelope and delivered, preferably by hand, on his desk, preferably. Just leave it there. Attention, blah, 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 so-and-so. Let him open it. And the message should come across in maybe 3 simple paragraphs, and that's it. Okay? There you go. Necessary truth. You got a really good point there. Claudia, play chess. Keep your mouth shut and get your exit strategy intact. Be more scorpionic. Okay, go Claudia. I'm so glad you came here tonight. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure reading for you. Wow, that was wonderful. I really enjoyed that reading. Thanks, Claudia. Tina, you're up. Whew. Okay, so it is 7:30 here on Pacific time, so it's 8:30 p.m. for you. Okay, Tina? I'm just getting those time zones intact because you mentioned that. Oh, do you see the notes there from Necessary? Mouth shut, Claudia. Smile and exit. That's one of those total fuck you. Oh, thank you, Claudia. I'm glad we helped here so much. It's sometimes it's a tremendous relief, isn't it, to air your grievances, and just, clear the air and get your own self sorted out. Forget everybody else. Take care of yourself. All right, Tino, what's going on? All right, here we go. Let's have a look. If you don't mind, folks, I need a little top up on my beverages, so I'm going to... Yes, Tina, it is 7:39 p.m. on my time. It should be 8:39 p.m. on your time. Oh, Gregory, I didn't see that. Oh, God. There's no way I can handle it tonight. I have to do a mystery. I still have to find a client here tonight for a mystery reading. So, Gregory, if it's okay, you've got a big court appearance tomorrow and the trials are coming up. Oh, my God. Okay. Oh, man. Give me a second. Please just stay there for a few moments. I have to get a beverage. I'll be right back. You know what? I'm going to play that fighting song. It's a fighting song about health and your immune system. And it's kind of one of those real power dance track songs that I tried to do on computers, but it's a very crude production. But I think this song might be appropriate for you, Claudia. Sorry, hold on. Oh, God, I can't type at all. Hold on. Give me a second. I have a little song called Fighting Well. And my poor computer, even though it's a good computer, it's a really good computer, but it's totally tapped out because of the way I do my show. It's like my processor is working at 100% capacity to take care of this show. So sometimes it's very hard to... All right, I'm going to do this. Here's the song, okay? I'll be back in a few minutes. Claudia, if you want to dance and jump around, the lyrics are very simple. I'll say it again. The lyrics are very simple. My immune system's fighting well. My immune system's fighting well. Over and over and over and over again. And the verse 2 is, my T cells are fighting well. Over and over again. The T cells are the actual cells in your bloodstream that do the war, that go to war. And your immune system is what controls it all. So, I used to do this a lot where I would dance myself into health. Okay? So I'm going to start again. I'm going to play it again. Here we go. I'll be right back.
My immune fighting well. My T cells are fighting well.
So here we are. Whew, okay. So I got that sorted out. I had a little top up on my wine. I feel too fragile, too weak to have my whiskey right now because I know I would just go like this. So what's the point? All right, let's have a look here. I'm gonna just clicking around. Thank you for your patience. Oh, hold on. There's more notes. What's this? Okay. Oh. Gregor Ross, go CC. Hey, look, Claudia. Looks like you got some supporters here. It is the fighting song. I'm serious. That song, Fighting Well, it is literally how I used to do a lot of self-healing. I know that's a whole other video, but anyway, I just want to read the notes from Necessary. Claudia, don't tell him your plans. Smile, get your exit strategy in place. This business partner is a doozy, out for himself. He does not support you. Stay, smile, and get your coin. Okay, necessary truth. Don't leave any letter until you've secured your next bag. Good point. It's not worth the headache. You're not going to win here. But with good news is all that he'll be... But the good news is that he'll be pissed off when you leave. Oh well, it's not your problem. Okay, so that's a different strategy and approach to the same situation. Excellent. Excellent, excellent advice there, Necessary. Thank you so much. I hope that helps Claudia. She's got a lot to think about here. Wow. Look at that, Necessary. Snip his balls off. All right, here we go. Okay, so Gregory, while I'm here, I'm thinking like Tina booked a reading for herself, but she also booked a reading for an anonymous or a new person who is very much in need. So far, no one has raised their hand, and personally, I would rather offer it to a complete newbie who's never done this before and they are deeply in need. Now, if nobody shows up, what I would rather do, okay, Gregory, is I would rather just read for you because we're paid and good, ready to go. And what I can do is I can save the mystery reading till next week, if Tina doesn't mind. So Tina, I'm asking you, would you be okay with that? Because I don't think I can handle more than your own reading and one more after that. So it's like you, Tina, and also Gregory or the mystery person. Because I don't have the energy to do 3 more readings, and that's my truth. Sorry. So anyway, just please let me know, Tina, if you're okay with that, and then we'll actually just get on with your reading itself. So I'm going to pull up Gregory's card here because he's paid and good to go. Well, the thing about Necessary, looking at Necessary has a lot of experience in business and business relationships too. So she's got a lot of very good points there. Karen, Jeffrey, you're still here. Whoa. God. Just kidding. Yeah, I get it. All right, cheers. Tina, you're up. Oh, thank you, Tina. Thank you. We're going to save this till next week. This is going to be exciting because I think what I'm going to do, this has really motivated me because I might do like a midweek thing or something to let people know that there is a freebie coming up. That'll be a good way to start off the next show. And then, so we're going to read for Tina, then we're going to read for Gregory Ross, okay? Thanks, Tina. You're a good soul. You're a good heart, Tina. Cheers. Open reading for Tina. Okay, that's great. Let's have fun. Now, cards are well shuffled in advance, but we're going to go all the way so that you're a witness. No jumpers, no flyers, no reversals. I'm not doing any oracles, nothing. When I do these little readings with these tiny little spread, I still get flooded with information and visuals and audio. So my job here is to be an effective instrument. And the best way for me to do that is to basically open myself to the experience and do the best that I can to, let's say, interpret. Okay, so now as a transceiver, there's energy in and energy out. I am receiving energy and I'm transmitting energy. And to you, the viewer, that looks like a tarot reading. But what it is, it's myself, more like that image, that diagram I showed you earlier on the show, where I'm just an intermediary. The energy comes in, I do my thing, and then the energy goes out. And what comes out the other side is called a tarot reading. Okay? There we go. Open reading, here we come. All right, Tina. Some of you know that Tina is quite adventurous. She's very adventurous, in fact, and she's opened up a new chapter in her life up there in Montana, and she's got Ava, the search and rescue dog, who is a serious handful. Okay, I'm just letting everybody know, Tina, because most everybody knows anyway, but I just wanted to give a brief reminder. Karen Clark, your mom has never had a tarot reading before. Oh my gosh. Well, guess what? She might be a good candidate. Karen, can you arrange for your mom to come back next week? Even if she's in Gisborne, can you arrange to have someone get her set up with a tablet or a laptop or a phone? And we'll get her a reading, okay? What about that? That would be fun for your mom. It would be like a birthday present. Yay! All right, Tina, let's see what's going on. What's going on in balmy, cozy, warm Montana? Of course, warm for you now is 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Well, actually, there's parts of the United States that they get snow every year. But it's interesting with I think is it La Nina or El Nino, whatever it is, that the climate is a bit sort of skewed, so we're getting extreme cold, ice, snow weather events in the snow areas, and we're getting unreasonably warm in the warm areas. Okay? It's very strange, but again, the Earth is a strange place. It's a never-ending kaleidoscope of mystery and wonder. Especially when it comes to things like weather and tectonic plates, volcanoes, earthquakes, fires, tornadoes, floods, all of that stuff. All right, one more. Okay, what messages do we have here for Tina tonight? All right, so today is the 13th, so we're coming up to the full moon energy. So you might expect or allow for the Leo Aquarius axis to be a little bit amplified or agitated or in the front, so to speak. All right, let's do this. I'm doing a very extreme cut because I want things to be crystal clear. Of course, we want that all the time, but sometimes I really have to make that happen or help to make that happen. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And let's have a look at external influences. All right, let's have a look. So, the Four of Swords. Oh, Tina, I know this might not be appealing at first sight, but to me this is beautiful. When I'm seeing the Four of Swords here, what I'm seeing is that you're in a situation, let's say it's just very, very amorphous, very like a big warm, what I'm feeling like is a big warm fuzzy blanket, okay? It feels to me like it's really important that it's kind of what we talked about even before you were even going to Houston or moving to Montana or anything. But it's really time for you. It doesn't say here directly on the card, but it's all about healing. It's time for self-healing. And because you're in a position where you can afford to treat yourself a little better, it's so important that you continue to do that. Some of you probably know that Tina has been a professional compassion junkie for many years, and her day job was basically taking care of other people who are in deep shit in the ICU, intensive care units. But now it's time for you, Tina. It's time for you to enjoy a chapter in life where it's all about rest and healing. It's almost to the point, let me see if I can illustrate this better. To me, it almost feels like giving yourself permission to follow your daily intuition, your daily thoughts. And like you just said something about beautiful mountains. What is that? Oh, let me just check something. Karen, she likes the show. Okay, so Karen, okay, let's go. Sorry, go back. Karen, we'll sort that out maybe next week or something with your mom, all right? So I got to sort this out with Tina. Hold on. Yeah. Thanks, Gregory. It's true. Right now, self-healing is your number one priority. And that message is being sent to you through the show here, through your reading tonight. It's very, very important that you, I know, like if you want to lay in bed later in the morning, fine. If you want to take a nap, fine. If you want to like do something very whimsical, like you were saying, driving around looking at some of the most beautiful mountains, whatever it is, whatever it takes to get you into that very, very, very serene state of calm, which is literally like this. It's literally this energy. And I do this with myself and for myself every night because I have to. If I don't, I regret it the next day. So it might look like it's very staged, and I'm telling you, lay down on your back if you can. Support your spine, your legs, thighs, knees, neck, whatever you can. But sometimes it's actually very, very healing to just lay down, remove all noise, all distractions, anything and everything, devices, televisions, radios, TVs, and just do some gentle breathing for about 3 minutes or something, 2 or 3 minutes. That's all you need. And then just stay that way for a little bit and allow yourself to get into the healing zone, okay? Now you said something that, what is it? Okay, Bubba's here. Bubba's here. Wait a minute, what? I'm losing track and all the chat's going, wait a minute. I've lost track. Tina, I'm losing track in the chat here. I'm trying to connect with you through the chat, but you're getting your knee and mind ready to go back to work. Okay. Please, Tina, please take your time. Please give yourself plenty of time. Literally, time is the essence here. To get yourself completely comfortable. Do not rush this process. Okay? Let me just go through the chat in case I'm... The area between Helena and Great Falls, the mountains are beautiful. Okay. Going to pick up a 96-gallon trash can and the speed limit was 80. What? Wow. Okay. Montana sounds really cool. I've never been up there. Wow. So anyway, let's get back to your reading. Yeah, Tina, please be very, very kind to yourself right now. And this is all done through the mind. It's making deliberate choices like it's time for me to heal. I need to rest. I need to heal myself. This is not the healing that you get from doctors or clinics or pills or therapy or anything. This is self-healing, okay? There are certain types of healing that you can only do yourself, okay? Yeah, Bubba is here. He's trying to remind me that it's dinner time soon. Okay, no worries. Don't worry, we're going to keep going. Tina, what's the situation itself? Okay. So, I think with the World card here, what we're talking about with self-healing, this is amplifying things. Gregory's got it. Rest and rejuvenation. Thank you, Gregory. With the World card here, to me it feels like it's a really powerful reminder, like, Tina, okay, Tina, I'm getting kind of really personal here, but I have to convey what I felt. It was an extremely powerful feeling, but it only took a fraction of a second to move through me and out of me. What it says is something like this, if I can do this without causing offense. It's like, Tina, you are so fundamentally programmed to work, to be the caregiver, to be very sacrificial, to completely give your energy to the healing of other people. It's like your default setting. It's just like, oh, like wake up. Okay, I gotta go back. Gotta go back to the ICU. Oh, okay. And gotta go back to work. Oh, okay, wake up. But when I see the World card here, my feeling is like, in concert with taking your time for rest and rejuvenation, it's time to remember that you've just had a massive life change. And give yourself permission to understand that one chapter, or perhaps a whole series of chapters of life, are over. They're done. You can file them in the history books. You can look at old photos, old journals. You can daydream about the past, your time here, your time there. I did this, I did that. Should have done this, coulda, woulda, shoulda, blah, blah, blah. But it's all history now. And with the World card, is to understand, like, it's over. The life that you knew is over. The whole point of Montana is to start from scratch and get in touch with you personally. And as a professional compassion junkie, you've probably unwittingly become an expert at dissolving the ego and the self and the needs that you need for you in order to accommodate the needs of others. I mean, you can live the rest of your life that way if you want to, but my feeling is that that chapter or that way of being is now over. Nothing good or bad about it. It's just over. It is what it is. It was what it was. And now we're looking to new beginnings. So again, with the Four of Swords, to me it feels like it's really important to take your time to understand that you are recalibrating. And it's the end of an old life and the beginning of a new life. So please give yourself plenty of time with this World card here to soak in your new life. Soak it in. Just let it just kind of like get inside of you before you rush off to find a new gig and bring in a new paycheck or work or something like that, okay? Just work through it gently, okay? Okay, now what are the problems here? Let's have a look. Oh, Tina. To me, it feels like one of the problems here is very, very simple and very kind of sentimental. It's just like, to be okay, I feel like I'm at high risk of hurting your feelings here, Tina, but I'm going to just say it anyway. To me, it feels like you're not willing to admit yet to yourself that you actually haven't found your tribe up there. You haven't really found a bunch of folks or people or community where you can just chillax, you know, have a drink or have conversations or go to somebody's place for a barbecue or something, like neighbors, you know, like what's missing. It's almost like deep down is this fear that what's missing is all these little traditional cozy things that come with life when you're not at work. In other words, when you're not at work, you can do things like relax, call up friends and family, organize a barbecue on the weekend, go to a church meeting or something, or invite friends over or something like that, where you can do what I do, like I'm having a beverage. I'm having a beverage with you guys. But that doesn't happen every day. And so my feeling is that with the Three of Cups here, there's this little part of you like who am I? Where's my friends? Who am I going to hang out with? Like, you know, that kind of stuff. Those things are really, really important. And if that feeling is there, but you're not willing to admit it to yourself, you're actually harming yourself. So when I see the Three of Cups here, to me it feels like it's time to admit that maybe you haven't had enough time to get in touch with the community or the neighbors or the town or nature or the shops or the streets or all of that stuff in a way that really needs to happen where you feel it at the heart core center, okay? All right, let's have a look. All right, so how are we going to deal with this? Okay, it's not the end of the world, but I feel like we're touching on very sensitive, delicate subject matter here. Oh, Tina. This might shock you, but what I'm sensing here with the Ace of Pentacles, it might be an idea, along with giving yourself plenty of time to, let's say, soak in the community, soak in your new life. Understand that life as you've known it is over and a new life is emerging, where it's really much more about you and what works for you at the heart center. And that you need healing. You don't necessarily have to be a healer anymore. When I see this Ace of Pentacles here, to me, it had a very instantaneous, shouting, loud message like, if you're considering going back into healthcare, okay, but you might want to consider a completely new way of work or source of money or income or activities that generate, let's say, value in your life, like an online business or working at a local something or other. I have no idea what that would be, Tina. I have no idea, but what I'm sensing is things like, really like, I'm going way out on a tangent here, but being at like a home and garden center, you know, where you don't know shit about blah, 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 or whatever, but you're in nature, you're with reality, and you get a little paycheck or something. Or whatever it is. I don't know, Tina, but if there's, when you start, let's say, you take this message at face value, and you say, okay, TL, I will take things very gently. I'm healing. I've got to heal. I have to continue. I know my old life is over. I know I've got a new life coming. Yes, if I'm honest, I admit that I haven't made all my friends and connections and tribal thing here yet. And that scares me because I would really love to have that. But now you mention it, while I'm here, I might as well look at completely new starts and new beginnings and new opportunities for ways to sustain myself. And I would like to add personally, perhaps in ways that are not directly related to having to give your whole heart, body, mind, and soul to an ICU somewhere. It might be something much more benign and gentle and soft and something to do with nature. Something to do with nature, you know, being with the local community or something. Oh, you said it's the animal shelter. Oh! Well, it's the animal shelter? Okay. Well, that's something, that's notes there from Necessary Truth, okay, Tina? So might want to think of that, but definitely, this is one of those moments. This reading to me is in the end like the first three cards of the reading. I hope that all makes sense. But with the Ace of Pentacles, it's just like, thanks, TL. I never thought about that way. Yeah, seriously, Ace of Pentacles. Come here, Bubba. So give me a second. I have to connect with little Bubba here. Bubba is here. He's hungry and he wants his dinner. Okay? Here's Bubba. Here he is. You've seen him before. He's a wonderful little creature. I don't think he's aware of how important he is in my life. But he is. Anyway, he's here right now and he's basically trying to tell me, excuse me, it's 45 minutes after my traditional feeding time. Thank you very much. All right. All right, so we have a consensus, something to do with an animal shelter. That's very earthy and natural. Bubba, I'll be there soon, okay? You know what, Gregory, if you don't mind, I'll play another little tune, and I'm going to make some dinner for Bubba and Boo Boo. So please, Gregory, you're up. you are up. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to shuffle it up, but if you just give me a couple minutes, it won't take long. I need to get the boys fed. Little Bonnie, she feeds herself, so it's not a worry. But these boys, when it gets to dinner time, you know, yep, that was Bubba. I do pick up Boo Boo now and again, but he's very camera shy. All right, Gregor, if you could just hang out there for a few minutes, I'm going to play another little tune. I'll play I Am Guided, I Am Protected. Okay, I will do that. And let's see if it comes up. Come on, little song. It looks like I might have it. I think... there it is! I did it! Oh my god, I actually did it. I'm actually shocked and amazed these days when I can make this show work.
I am guided, I am protected.
All right, Gregory, I'll be right back, okay?
I am guided, I am protected. 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 When the light of hope it fades, when all faith is blown away, when all sense of trust goes down, when a smile turns into frown, when it feels there's no relief, nothing in which to believe, desperate in woe and grief, angels come reminding me, I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected. Angels gather close to me, show me what I cannot see. Angels take me by the hand, lift me when I cannot stand. Angels lead me through the dark, soothe and tend a broken heart, laughing at the circumstance, crying while we sing and dance. I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected.
I made it back perfectly. Perfect timing. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. All right. Oh, you like the song? Thanks, Claudia. I wrote it myself. I recorded it myself. I produced it myself. There we go. Gregory, you're up. All right, let's have a look, folks. So, Gregory, I saw some notes earlier. You've got something very serious coming up tomorrow or next week or whatever it is. Damn, hold on, Gregory. I left my glass of water. You know what? What's happening with your messages? I was retracting. Okay. Gregory, I left my glass. I'll be back in just a second. Stay there. Sorry about that. I'll be with you in just a second. Okie dokie. All right, here we go. Excellent. Thanks for your patience. Okay. By the way, everybody, I am not here retracting messages from Necessary. She might be doing it herself, or I don't know what, but anyway. Okay, Gregory, so you got court. You're actually in court. Oh my God. Oh God. Yo. Okie dokie. In court, in a trial. Okie dokes. All right, so let's just get to it. Let's pull this reading up, see what kind of messages are coming for you for in the immediate future here regarding the court and the trial. Okay. Obviously, we want what's best for you, but let's look at this. Okay. For some reason, hey Gregory, you know how I get sometimes. To me, it feels like I got this attitude, like we need to deal with this, like in a military fashion here. Just like the Situation Room at the White House. Okay, just like my situation spread that we use here, it's very clear cut. Well, for tarot, it's clear cut. So you identify the situation. What are the risks? What are the unknowns? Of course, you don't know what they are, but what are the potential unknowns? And you have to. I have to look at everything. Like, what are the external risks? What are the goals? What's the intended outcome? What's the desired outcome? What's the potential outcome? What could go wrong? Where, how, and why, and with whom, and from where? And what about highly unpredictable tangents that could come from anywhere? Because that's what they have to do in the military. In the military, not that I'm not in the military. I've never been in the military in my lifetime, but I feel as though I've been in the military for many lifetimes. And I've had to deal with war and confrontation. And you can't just go in like, can't do that in this situation. To me, it feels like there's a whole bunch of stuff at stake, and things have to be done in a way that the whole idea is to prevail. Now, I'm not saying that prevail means I won, I beat you. No, it's more like literally survival. In other words, in order to prevail, it means like, how do I get this? How do I get through this without being destroyed? Which is more about a strategy of, going to war where you're going to face bullets, you're going to face attacks, you're going to face the enemy's going to come at you. And they have all their strategies and tools and whatever to come at you. And you might have all your, toolkit, your strategies and tactics for how to deal with the enemy. But there's always, let's say, what do they call it? Asymmetric warfare, where something comes at you from the side like, whoa, what was that? And you're completely unprepared. You had no idea. So, once you are aware that that is a possibility, you understand that, that puts me in a position of awareness where I might be able to use asymmetric warfare for my advantage against them. Something to think about. When I say asymmetric warfare, I'm talking about something that there's no way the enemy would be able to predict or anticipate. You know, there's all the classic things like, you know, the Trojan horse, or coming at someone right in their face and just going bop, or coming at the side and doing a I got you, got you, got you, coming out with the right words and the right paperwork and like, I got this. No. You might have to employ some asymmetric warfare here. Okay? That's before we even pulled a card. Wow. Okay. Again, Gregory, I was not around, but I know about a few things about the Vietnam War and little bits of stories that I've heard, where the reason it became so intractable and impossible for America to come out of that war with any sense of grace or dignity is because the Vietnamese were extremely good at asymmetrical warfare. In other words, a lot of the Vietnamese soldiers and fighters would do things in warfare that the American soldiers would not do, even with the best of training. Some of these Vietnamese fighters would be willing to sit in a swamp for hours or days, or cover themselves in bugs and weeds and whatever, in order to hide, in order for that moment when the American soldier shows up, they would feel totally safe, and then all of a sudden, a bullet goes right through their head. And there was no way to tell where the bullet came from or how it got there. So all I'm suggesting is guerrilla warfare. Please anticipate guerrilla warfare or asymmetric warfare, however you want to describe it. It's warfare where literally there are no holds barred. There are no limits. Okay? All right. So one of the things that can happen in warfare is that when you're facing an enemy or the enemy, and it starts to get you emotionally, and the more and more that happens where it affects your emotions, the more and more likely you are to respond in an what's the word? In a way that's conditioned by things like natural ego and the desire to win, and in order to save face, in order to save the ego. But there are times where ego becomes irrelevant and you just simply have to do what has to be done in order to prevail. And sometimes that might look very effacing for you, like the Vietnamese fighter who's willing to be covered in shit and mud and bugs and leaves and hide in trees and suffer disgusting, squalid conditions in order to remain invisible and have the chance to drop a single bullet in the enemy's head, while all at the same time the enemy is dropping bombs everywhere else that are not very effective. Okay? So that's why that's what I'm sensing, this theme of guerrilla warfare, asymmetric warfare. All right, here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. External influences, blame it on the planets like we do. Empress energy. Okay, so this is the energy of, let's say, fertility, wealth, abundance, irrefutable power, indisputable rights, where you don't have to apologize. The Venus energy is very strong. Right now in the heavens, Mars and Venus are conjunct in Capricorn. That's very powerful. Pluto is conjunct Mercury. So that's very powerful too. So there's a lot of energy to do with reality check. Okay? Reality check energy. You know, I've talked about that for years. I talked about the reality check police like 3 years ago when Pluto was getting close to conjoined with Saturn. Okay, we've moved past that now, but when I see the Empress energy here, to me this is an indication that you're surrounded by this kind of protective shield, like goddess energy. I know you're a guy, but it's very, very nice to have goddess energy protecting you. And it's like having a cloak of, it's like having some kind of magic gown, like some kind of cloak of supremacy. Not in a negative way, but being supreme. Where, of course, I don't know what the outcome's going to be of the courts, but what I'm suggesting is that with the Empress energy, is that there's no reason for you to fear the courts. There's no reason to fear the other people, the judges, the other attorneys, the other clients, whatever it is. That's not relevant here. What's really important is to be the best you can be on the understanding that you are already kind of in a shroud and a veil of supremacy. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The Empress is very powerful female energy. I don't know if you're going head to head with a female energy, but what I'm suggesting, what I'm feeling here is almost like you would adopt, it would be very beneficial for you to adopt the energy of what an abused woman would do in a court situation, where what is happening more and more on earth now, where women who are generationally abused as a culture, decide, you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to stand up in my girl power and I'm going to make my case, and so be it. And they present themselves in their supreme glory, their supreme beauty. So I'm not talking about girly energy. I'm talking about the energy of beauty and love and harmony and abundance and irrefutability. And my feeling is that you're in a situation where, if you're not aware of it, you have the right and the duty and the obligation to put on that cloak. It's like surrounding yourself in this cloak where not everyone, no, it's not like you're literally like a cloak, a dazzling, beautiful cloak. But you know, in courtrooms, like the judge, sometimes they wear these fancy tops and fancy wigs and hats and whatever, and so on. The same with the attorneys. In England, they take that stuff very seriously. They have special wigs and special ties and special shirts and everything. And it creates this aura of power. And there's something equivalent that I'm suggesting you can tap into, which is the equivalent of soft power. It's the power of beauty, the power of love, and it's totally available to you as a resource. And all you have to do is kind of go, and it's there for you. And now you're surrounded by this protective shield which allows you to go into a court with a state of supremacy. It might be very frightening at first, but when you carry that aura with you, it's something that they will not be able to avoid. They certainly won't understand it. They won't know what it is, but it's something that you have access to. Okay, so I'm suggesting access that power because it's very powerful. It's out there and it's available to you, okay? Oh, the Empress, that is the judge. Is the judge female? Okay. Okay. So you could do a different spin on that. If you say that that is the judge, if the judge is female, and let's say she does have certain characteristics of the Empress, where she is, let's say, hopefully at core a good person, unapologetically good person, then you can appeal to that. Okay. Have a look. What's the situation itself? Okay, it looks like we have a very, very tricky, ambiguous situation here where it's potentially very easy for you to get lost in the technicalities and the details, but also simultaneously, like quicksand, it's very easy for the enemy to get lost and tangled in quicksand of the details. And so you might be in a situation in a courtroom where, let's say, the enemy is coming from a very, let's say, weak position where there's a lot of ambiguity, and they're doing their best to try and fumble their way through things to present a case where hopefully they might prevail. And then you, in return, have no option to deal with an energy field that is riddled with ambiguity, ambivalence, indecisiveness, lack of clarity, lack of information. So this looks like a very, let's say, a very, very tenuous situation. I don't think it's your fault and it's not your problem, but the situation, to me, it looks like you're dealing with, look at it this way, okay? Okay. It's almost like it would be very helpful in your situation, in the trial with the judge and everything, to move very, very carefully, one sentence at a time, one word at a time. So like almost like everything happens in really slow motion. Like when the enemy speaks or the judge speaks or you speak. But especially when you speak, you cannot afford to speak out of time or out of place, having been triggered by whatever it is, thoughts or information that's coming at you, where that information is fundamentally ambiguous. And then, so going forward, when it is your time and moment to speak, it's very, very important that you only speak the truth and you only advance one word at a time, one sentence at a time, one tactical move at a time, so that you do not trigger a landmine. Because to me it feels like you're very much at risk of saying just the wrong word, the wrong time, at the wrong place, for the wrong reason, to the wrong person, and then you're totally fucked. Okay, so you have to be aware of that. But it's the same for them as well. It's the same for the enemy, okay? What's the problem here? Okay, to me it looks like the real problem here is that the core parties involved here, when it really comes down to it, they don't have a fucking clue about what's going on what really this case is about or what the situation is. Okay, that could be primarily the enemy. Okay, so you're dealing with an enemy that's like a loose. Have you ever heard that term, loose units? I learned this from a dear friend of mine in New Zealand. Loose units. It's something to do with like slang in the video game world, where like you're dealing with a battle, there's warfare going on, whatever. You're doing the best you can, and they're coming at you. They're doing the best they can, and yet out in the background there's all these like zombie types, like these like. Loose units, basically like, random fighting soldier units that have lost it, and they're just like, "You're looking at me funny?" Okay, and then who the fuck are you? Just total random shit that is nothing but distraction and a problem. And to me it feels like you are at risk of collateral damage from loose units. Loose units, I'm also implying that some of your enemies are literally like, they have no fucking idea what they're talking about. They might think they're lawyers or attorneys or judges or something, but from your perspective, as a highly experienced attorney in the courtrooms, you already know, like, these people are out of their mind. And so you have to deal with that. So how do you deal with that? So it leaves you in a position where, like, you're very vulnerable to not knowing what's going on, because there's so much ambiguity in this situation, where you might think like, oh, now I see what the problem is. Now I can form an effective strategy. I can go down to hardcore tactics, how to prevail in court. But to me, it looks like it's futile. It's very frightening that, like, this could go anywhere. This situation in court is at extreme high risk of going completely out of your control. Out of control of the enemy, out of control of the judge, out of control of you, because there's too much ambiguity. But because you're in a court setting, and the desire is for the enemy to prevail over you, or for you to prevail over the enemy, and the judge to prevail over the warfare, then the desire, that would be heavily influenced by egos, which has nothing to do with the reality of the situation. And so you end up in quicksand. So my feeling is that there's a deep fear, and it needs to be acknowledged, that it would be very easy for you to get stuck in quicksand or become a victim of collateral damage, but it's also the same for the enemy. Very, very difficult field of combat. So how are you going to deal with this? Well, this is a tremendous relief. 7 of Wands here. In fact, necessary, just wrote it on the screen. Do what you need to do. So please, Gregory, in the courtroom, understand, forewarned is forearmed. It's important that you need to know, before you even get into the courtroom, that it's just a shitstorm. It's a pile of shit. There's no up, there's no down, there's no left, there's no right. There's no right, there's no wrong. The enemy doesn't know what they're doing, which makes it impossible for the judge to know what to do, which makes it very difficult for you to respond in a traditional legal way. Okay, so with the 7 of Wands here, my feeling is the best strategy going forward is to show up, deal with the situation as best you can, knowing that shit's going to come at you from every angle, but that you can and prevail because you've already been forewarned and forearmed. And like Necessary saying, perhaps the best thing to do, like in a situation, is like go to the judge and say, hello, can I have permission to speak, whatever it is. I've only been in courtrooms about 6 or 7 times in my life for my own situation, but so I don't know what it's like being an attorney. But when you see on a movie or something, when one of the lawyers says, excuse me, judge, permission to approach the bench. Okay, so you get to that situation where you say, permission to approach the bench. You approach the judge and you look the judge straight in the eye like, we're wasting our time here. These people have no idea what they're doing or how they're doing or why they're doing it. There's no way that I can come up with an effective defense. There's no way that you can do your job. Can we please ask to postpone, or whatever the legal word is? We're all wasting our time here. So I'm following up from Necessary, okay? Some good stuff coming up on the screen here. To me, it looks like a lot of defensive strategies here. And then that all boils down to defensive tactics. Basically, this is a very undesirable situation to feel as though you could go to court and prevail. Instead, it's better to know that there's no chance of any kind of resolution or prevail here. And instead, what did she say? What did Necessary say? 7 of Wands, block. Okay, so that could be looked as a blocking strategy. In other words, like a defense. The best form of it, the best way to go forward now is to play defense and block the enemy's ability to move forward, perhaps by appealing to the judge, saying, we're all wasting our time here. Can we please postpone to another time and day? Where you appeal to the judge and their wisdom or their position in society and justice, and just basically, I'm a professional attorney, I've been doing this for a long time, and this is stupid. We're wasting time. We're wasting the court's time, we're wasting my time, we're wasting your time. Can we please just postpone this? There's no way for me to create or deliver an effective defense. They are delivering an offense which is completely bullshit. So anyway, defend yourself, protect yourself against a lot of random, ambiguous, asymmetric hostility. And I think Necessary's got a good point. Put this off to another day. And the judge might be thinking, oh, you know what? Thank you. She might be whispered to him, Gregory, thank you so much, because I didn't really want to do this either myself today. Those people, they're total fuckwads, okay? Thanks. So, bang, bang. Case postponed. Let's all go off and have lunch, and we'll reset to next Tuesday or something like that. So, I think the message is pretty clear here. Hope it makes sense. Please do not try to fight a fight that cannot be fought or a battle that cannot be won. That's a complete waste of time or energy. You're better off accepting the hostility of the situation and understanding the ambiguity of the situation, understanding that there's no way that you can win, there's no way that they can win. So Necessary has a good point. Just stand up, appeal to the judge and say, shall we postpone? Now, of course, I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, Gregory. On the other hand, we might have some useful notes here for you. I hope this helps, okay? All right. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure to read for you. And I hope we do this again. And I hope to be here next Sunday. So put the word out in case there are no more notifications coming from Google or YouTube or this channel anymore. That's probably the sad reality. Thank you, everyone who is actually here tonight and found their way here. So what's the message? Thank you, everybody, for your donations. Also, thank you to Karen's mom for being here and enjoying yourself so much. Karen, please sort it out with your daughter. Sorry, Karen, please sort it out with your mom so that we can pick up next week, next Sunday, do the same thing, and we'll get a birthday reading for your mom. And we still have this in hand, okay? I will talk about this more later on, okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Good night and farewell. It's been a pleasure. I'm just going to play a little bit of music so you can all gracefully check out. Put your chair back. Don't forget to clear up your trash after you. You know, that kind of thing. And we'll connect again soon. And here we go. Let's have a look. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to play the music. I'm going to watch the chat and say goodnight, okay?